Welcome to the TMRN Time Monk Radio Network. I'm Jules, and today is Tuesday, the 12th of July 2011, or the 13th in Australia. From South Australia, we have author, researcher, and Earth friend, philosophical thinker, George Kavassilas. Hello, George.
Hey, Jules, how are you going?
Good, thanks. In 2003, George had an experience that allowed him to journey past our normal 3D realm and into the Omniverse. George has created many presentations and documentaries based on his experiences, and you can find it on his website at http://georgekavassilas.org and ourjourneyhome.com, which is our-journey-home.com. The Webbot Forum administrator is Fox, and today he will be doing the recording and technical support of the show. Several members of the forum were kind enough to join us tonight. They include members Gemini, GemD, Lua, Green Meadow, and Lambert. For listeners, this interview will assume you have a fairly good understanding of Mr. Kavassilas' work, including the interviews he has done on The Veritas Show and others which are available on YouTube. Again, George's website is http://georgekavassilas.org and ourjourneyhome.com, which is our-journey-home.com. This interview will be available on YouTube for free on the Webbot Forum channel and at the website webbotforum.com. George, are you ready for the interview, sir?
I most certainly am, thank you. And thank you for asking me to come along. I really appreciate the offer.
Oh, the honour's all ours. Thank you, George. The first topic of conversation is earthly matters, and we start with Lambert.
The latest Webbot report speaks of a rapidly accelerating building tension language from mid-September through to about the 9th of October. George, do you think that the expected appearance of Comet Elenin in September could be a factor in that building tension language? And will it only affect us in the physical sense of Earth changes, or will it cause a further downfall of the market's entities?
Yeah, good question. I feel there's more to Comet Elenin than just meets the eye. For me, there's something coming in behind it. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up to me that Comet Elenin could be, with the mass that it has, which is minimal and quite insignificant in the greater scheme of things, can have such an effect. And sure, you can look at it from the point of the tail wagging the dog. So it can have a tuning effect in the harmonics in the solar system, but to the degree that the effects are at the moment, it doesn't make sense that Comet Elenin is creating these sort of tuning effects. From my understanding, my own personal experience of my own consciousness, having travelled into into the sun and to the other side of the sun. I know there's a big red body out there, and it's heading our way, and it's just snuck out from behind the sun, and it's heading this way. And a lot of people can't see it because of its physical attributes. So, Comet Elenin, I'll say, was kind of like a smoke screen, but also a precursor of what's to come.
All right, George, can you tell us anything more about Comet Elenin or the smoke screen and what is to come?
Yeah, you see, it's interesting when you look at the dates too, as to the flyby scenario of Comet Elenin. The synchronization of the dates just are incredible. There's no way this thing is, again, just a naturally occurring object that just so happens to, by a freak of nature, just drift into our solar system. This thing has been speeding up, it's been slowing down, and the correlation with the specific dates in its flyby, it just, there's no way that, and it's the path, its specific path and everything. This is an object that's been steered into our direction and in a particular time frame for creating an effect. Now, the actual effects, how they're going to affect the Earth, I don't know the exact ways, but it will get a lot of attention. And this red object that's coming in behind it, which I feel personally it's a failed star. Others beg to differ with that, but I'm just sharing my opinions here. And this is the object. If you understand things from the level of the cosmic drama, because our planet has its own consciousness, and the star, our sun, has its own consciousness. All the planets and all the stars have their own consciousness. They're individual beings. And so if you look at it from their level of the drama and what's happening here on the Earth, you have this this planet, our Earth Mother, who's about to give birth to a new way of life, and you've got the sun, and then you've got this veiled star, which is kind of like, if you've ever heard of the mythology of the evil twins, not the evil twins, but sorry, the evil twin brother of a good guy. So you've got our sun, who's a shining star, and then you've got this jealous, envious, embodied consciousness of a failed star. And he would like nothing more than right at the very end to get between the sun and his wife, the earth, to basically spoil the party and grab all the attention. And if you understand things from that level of the cosmic drama, I know I'm getting quite out there for some people, but it's just understanding things from that perspective. And this red object is coming through to create a lot of issues, and it's really having an effect on Mother Earth, because as this thing gets closer, she's standing up, she's making a stand, so she's straightening up on her axis, and it's the feminine energy saying to this jealous and envious male energy that she's had enough. So, you know, the interaction that they're having is really quite interesting.
Thanks for answering that, George. I have a follow-up question to that, and that would be that there's a lot of false language out there that's more than likely being provided by the powers that be. Do you have any ideas as to why they would be challenging what the reality is of the comet and the red dwarf?
Yeah, look, they want to keep people in a slumber for as long as possible, because there's a plan. And I don't have every single detail of their plans, but I've got a bit of a good idea, a good feel for it. And the whole point of it is to keep humanity in a slumber as long as possible. And it ties in too with the next major global mind control event, because you got 9/11, and that was a really good effort. They did pretty good with that. And it was on one level, it was an experiment. Another level was part of the plan. It was symbolic, you know, the twin towers, and, you know, Joshin and Boaz, the two towers in masonry, and the pillars of polarity and the gateway to polarity, the 11/11 effect. So it's really quite interesting how they attempted it with 9/11, but didn't quite get the global effect they wanted. But it was a good try. And now we've got an event that's coming, because this is a battle for our awareness. So if you've got, you know, it's not just a battle for our attention, it's actually about awareness, because depending on your level of awareness will depend on, you know, the reality you experience. So, yeah, it's quite a big thing, this, and I feel very strongly, and others feel strongly, that I've been communicating with, that we feel there's a pending global mind control event about to occur, another one. It'll actually make 9/11 look like a little baby compared to this, and it's a drama that'll affect the whole planet. This will be a planetary scale event, and they've got a lot of infrastructure in place, not just through the televisions and the radio waves, but they've put a lot of technology in place to create an energetic effect on people's minds when these events play out. So I say to people, it's time to really become aware that there's an event on the way. Let's not focus on what too much on what it might be. It is a good thing to talk about it. Sure, is it the comet? Is it going to be a fake alien invasion? Is it going to be the appearance of a religious deity? You know, we can entertain all these different ideas, but if people can be aware that there's actually an event about to occur, then whatever it's going to be, people can sit back and say, okay, there's something that's playing out here on the planet. We know they want to brainwash humanity with this event, because that's how they work. They can't help themselves. And because they want to capture humanity's awareness, which is what they've been doing since the beginning of the, even before then, but a lot since the beginning of the Renaissance period. And it's about steering, because we're headed down in a particular path. And what their agenda is to capture our attention, our awareness, and capture the minds and the hearts of the people and steer humanity in a particular direction. I mean, we are being so funneled down a particular path, with the technology we're using, the type of technology, why aren't we using other types of technology? Why are we stuck with the technologies that we have and we're heading down this path with this technology? So you've got to look at the level of this AI that's influenced itself and imposed itself on the human race. It's about looking at all the ET races that are interacting with the shadow governments behind the scenes. This is a massive, massive agenda at play here. And this does not originate just from the ruling elite. This goes off-world to the overlords, and this goes into Galactic. This is a very large cosmic cabal, and you've got to look at things from a much larger perspective. And this brown dwarf is all a part of that major plan. And how exactly it affects humanity, I'm not sure. But on a personal level, I did have the experience of going into the future and seeing I called it the time of the two moons. I've been discussing it for a while, and I saw a blood red moon next to our silver moon, and the blood red moon was bigger than our silver moon, not by much when you looked at it in the sky, but I knew this thing was way, way out, and it was massive. And it's interesting to know that I'm getting emails from people around the world who have had similar experiences. So it's not just George who's having these experiences.
Well, thank you so much, George.
Yeah, you're welcome.
George, hi, this is Gemdi.
Hey, Agendi, how you going?
Yeah, good. I'm very happy to talk to you.
Yeah, me too. I'm really, really happy to be here.
All right, here's my first question. Nikola Tesla created one of mankind's most advanced free energy devices and multiple technologically advanced systems to free mankind of slavery to the system. Do you think humans have misused technology, and therefore that's why we have actually devolved using technology?
Well, we've been on the path of devolution for pretty much quite intensely for the last, I would say, definitely this precessional cycle, and even beyond, just because I understand the journey that we've all undertaken. So it was a journey of descent from our original, the way we were originally created, and there's reason and purpose for that, and we wanted that. We all wanted that collectively from a much higher aspect of ourselves. So I would say that the technology that Tesla created was, just wonderful, and it's been misappropriated by by a very small number. And the unfortunate thing is the way the whole of the human race has been guided and funneled down this particular path that I mentioned before, because they've been working on our desires, our greed, all the negative attributes of the human race are being stimulated quite intensely for the past, it's been going on for a few thousand years, but this mode of it, this model that we're existing in now, and the technologies that we have been really intense, especially in the last 50 years, and even before that, because if we were to have free technology and use it wisely, we are humane beings. We're humane, right? That's our natural state of being. But we have this energy, these beings who are this energy and impose on the human race and a particular format and program, because they want us to become like them. They want us to continue to be their resource. And so we weren't allowed to have free technology. This is coming from the level of the quarantine on cosmic level now, imposed upon this reality. So really there's just so many aspects of within our paradigm that we can argue the point. And people, for cleaning up the earth, there's arguments for cleaning up the earth. There's arguments for, there's plenty. We've got wind towers here, and a lot of people think they're wonderful. I think they're awful, especially because they pollute the landscape as far as visual Visually, they pollute the landscape, and also the noise level that comes from them is terrible. We're 10 kilometres away, which is around about 6 miles, right, from where they are, and we just hear this industrious droning noise coming from them when you get a nice quiet night. And it's really sad. It's like living next to a big city, and we're meant to be out in the country in the peace and quiet. So I keep telling people we don't need those things. You know, we could have free energy. We've had access to free energy for thousands of years. Why do we need this crap? There's no need for it. So yeah, there is a program that's being implemented.
How do you think that we are their? How are you saying that we are their resource?
Oh, on so many levels. Because this cabal is massive. The infrastructure is colossal. It spans so many levels of frequency of realities. Beings who are inside these paradigms actually think they're inside another universe. That's how big these things are. You know, we're talking about eons and eons of evolution in our universe. You know, the way we've been programmed is think that, you know, well, firstly, some people think we're the only ones that exist, and that's just insane. I mean, people think I'm insane because I talk about ETs and having interactions with ETs, and I say, well, you're going to tell me that we're the only ones that exist in the universe. I think you better look at your level of insanity. I mean, the evidence is everywhere. It's all around us, and people are just like zombies. They're asleep and they're blind. They can't see what's going on around them. So I find that quite fascinating. So yeah, this thing is huge, and who and what we are as a human race on this planet, it's all about that, because we are a fractal of the universe. Both this planetary body and its environment is a fractal of the universe, and we ourselves, our embodiments, are fractals of the universe. So we hold all the codes, and the real power, the ones who are into power and control. If you want to get powerful, you know, physical substances only get you so far. Even technology only gets you so far. But if you want real power, the real juice is accessing life force through genetics. So the number one commodities out there are genetics. Some people beg to differ, but they just really don't grasp the concept of what's going on out there. And there's beings who have been marauding, going around marauding galaxies and star systems, and taking control of races for the purpose of empowering themselves through their genetics. And here you have a planetary body and a race that lives on this planetary body that is a fractal of the universe. And they've hit a home run here. They've just struck gold, and they're totally addicted to us and totally addicted to this reality, you know, and because this reality does have that effect on people. And yeah, they really are trying really hard to maintain their hold on us, because, you know, if you have if you had what's called the magic cow, or the magic sheep, you know, that supplied you. You'd want to
leak it dry.
You know, yeah, you'd want to, and this resource supplied you with everything that you've ever wanted. Then you're going to fight tooth and nail to hold on to it.
Right. Do you think we'll ever break free from them?
Oh yeah. Okay. We'll be doing it within 2 years. Yeah, definitely.
Within 2 years. Okay.
We're in the process of breaking free. I'm already breaking free. I'm already doing it. Yeah. That's why I'm getting up and saying the things that I say, of the experiences that I've had. Oh, look, you know, behind this cabal, there's the rest of life, and that's where we all come from. And some of us come from within the cabal, but the majority of life on this planet comes from outside of the paradigms of the cabal, this intergalactic cabal. So, you know, and they're just a small, tiny percentage of life in the universe, or even just in the lower part of the universe. They're just a small percentage. So, you know, who and what we all are, and our families from out there, from other domains and other paradigms, and other star systems and other realities. No, the majority of life are good people who don't do these sort of things, who live in harmony. So, yeah, I'm not going to try and paint the picture that we're doomed and all that sort of business. There's a lot of that going on, and that's not the case. No, we are breaking free. Mother Earth and her consciousness, she has her own ideas of what she's doing here as a planet. Same with the sun, the solar system. And I say to people, don't take my word for it. Ask them yourselves what they're doing. What do they want to do? And what are their plans? And she's changing. She's definitely changing. And she's about to become a body of light. So whoever's going to take that path with her, that's wonderful. I'm definitely taking that journey with her. And I'm here to warn people who are not going to take that journey with her. Then you better start gathering your things, and you better get ready to leave, because you're going to have to leave, because her energies here are now becoming very detrimental to the health and well-being for those beings who are not here to embark on that journey with her.
Right. Okay. I have the next question to ask you. Thank you for that. Many humans are preparing for their earth changes and monetary collapse by storing food, arms, gold, silver, and becoming more self-sustaining. Since our higher selves that are in another realm have made all the decisions about our lives before we incarnated here, is there any point to preparing in this way? And is there any way to know ahead of time what our higher self has planned for us?
Yes, there is a way to know. I'm living that knowing, not fully, but more and more each day. And it's like a feeling of the way your river's flowing, the way your river of life is flowing. And you get a really good feel for where you're headed and what you're here to do. And like, I'll give you an example. 10 years ago, I started saying to my kids, the day's coming when, Dad has to go away and travel around the world and do his thing. And so for me, I had a good idea of what I was going to be doing 10 years ago, and this started February this year. So I've known for some time. It was just a matter of time that it was going to manifest, and it has. So, a lot of people actually live like this. You'd be surprised. And so, and that's getting in touch with yourself. That's feeling into yourself, because when you can get in touch with that greater aspect of yourself, the part of you that did compose, who is the composer, who is the orchestrator and the conductor of this life that you're having here, then that's where all the power, all the resources and all the wisdom and all the knowledge of your existence here resides. And so the more you do that, the more you start flowing in a more natural way. And you're not starting to head down paths which are knocking you off center. You actually end up feeling quite peaceful and quite centered, and you just flow and you just be. It's a very, very beautiful state and way of being. Now, this sorry, can you share with me the other part of the question? Oh, the money. That's right. Yeah, this reality is deconstructing on every level because it needs to, because it's morphing into a higher vibration. So the concept of money won't exist very soon. That's just that's a construct of an economic collective, and economic collectives don't exist in higher vibrations. So, yeah, money will be totally irrelevant very, very soon. So, for me, the money issue is a bit of a weird one, but I just don't give it much credence at all. As far as guns and ammunition and all that go, everyone, that's an individual thing. It'll depend on your environment, where you live, and how you feel about life. If you feel with any of this, I just say to people, follow your intuitive heart. Whatever your intuitive guidance is whatever you intuitively feel to do, follow that and do that. And because we live, it's not one rule fits all, depending on what your life circumstances are. Because I don't feel the need to arm myself, but other people do. Right. So I can't tell them not to. The way events play out, they might have needed to down the track. Someone, there might come an instance where they have to defend themselves, and I don't in my life's journey.
Yeah, so everyone might need to prepare differently, and there is no right or wrong way.
There's no right or wrong. Everybody's own life's journey, soul journey, needs to be honoured. And, I warn people about getting on the ships when the mass evacuations occur, because that's a large group coming to harvest their human herd. But for some people, they'll say what George says doesn't feel right, my intuitive heart says to get on the ships. Well, you know, I honour that. That's their soul journey, and that's a path they're going to venture down and experience that pathway in the cosmos, and that's, you know, that's their soul journey. So I can't tell people what to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I understand. You have to go with your intuition and what you feel is right for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you, George. And I'm going to turn it over now to Green Meadow.
Thank you. Hey, Green Meadow.
Hi, George.
Hey.
My first question actually comes from forum member Space, and he asks, is terra firma an entity from a higher realm, and are we a binary system?
Yeah, okay, are we a binary system, terra firma? Well, the consciousness of the Earth, if that's what this person is referring to, then yes, the consciousness of this planet is actually the feminine expression of the universal consciousness, manifested herself as the planet. So we're actually incarnate on the Divine Mother. And I know it might sound crazy to some, but the moment you connect with her, you'll find that out. So I say to people, you know, try and rekindle that connection on a much deeper level. You incarnate on her body. You know, she gives you the air that you breathe and the water that you drink and the food that you eat, and but all that's forgotten. Yeah. So there's, yeah, it's really, really important to rekindle that connection with the planet. People have actually chosen to have such an intimate relationship with, to be incarnate on her body. This is the forgotten basics of our very existence here. Yeah, sorry, again, what was the other question?
Are we a binary system?
Oh, yeah, that's right, binary. Well, yes and no. There is that brown dwarf that's kind of a part of our system, but then you can also say that we're a trinary system with the Sirius system. So our sun is intimately connected with Sirius, is also intimately connected with Orion, but in a different way. But as far as, yeah, I'd say we're a trinary system, and we're also a binary system. I'm going to say both, because both are accurate, both are relevant. Because our sun was much closer to the Sirius, it was a part of the Sirius system a long time ago, and has drifted away. And then you've got the issue with the brown dwarf now. So it's both.
So is the brown dwarf next to the sun, or is it coming through like with Elenin?
It's coming through.
Okay.
It's behind. This Elenin is a smokescreen for this other big red thing that's coming in behind it.
Okay.
There's photos. People have taken photos of it. It's, yeah, and these people are just ordinary people with cameras and they explain exactly the filters that they've used, and this thing's appeared on the left side of the sun. So this thing's coming in behind Elenin. And all the way objects are being affected in our solar system. This thing is not, Elenin is not causing these disturbances. There's a big object out there that's causing these disturbances. But they're doing everything in their power to keep this quiet. They don't want this getting out, because the moment this gets out, it's going to cause a lot of issues. You see, they've got a plan, and if people become aware of things before time, then it ruins their plans. And I'm here to ruin their plans. You know, I'm trying to help make people aware. This is about helping people out. This is about awareness. This is not about fear mongering. This is about preparation. So yeah, have a really good think about the things that I'm sharing.
Thank you so much for what you're doing. It's really wonderful. And my next question is, you've said on your interviews that the axis of the Earth is straightening up. Why is this happening, and what will be the result?
Yeah, now, Mother Earth have a wobble, because if you go to incarnate into a reality, the environment, the foundational energetic patterns of that reality are what help to create the environment, and then are the building blocks of that environment, and then therefore they provide the experiences one chooses to have by incarnating in that particular reality. You know, that's why our souls gravitated here. It's the law of attraction. So the wobble is a function of duality. Mother Earth needed to have that wobble so we can experience the level of duality we have been experiencing. And so this version of duality that we have been experiencing here is now winding up. It's finishing and it's coming to an end. So in order for Mother Earth to ascend and become, and morph into this high state of being, she needs to be centered. She needs to find center again. Just like we as individual beings, if we are to become a more, increase our frequency and become a more enlightened and an ascended state of being, we need to have our center as well. So the same applies for the planetary body as well. So that's why she's straightening up on her axis so she can find center. And she's doing it in small increments at the moment, but very, very soon she's going to do it in a really big way. And my understanding is that the 21st of December 2012 is the activation of this alignment that takes place, is going to activate her to actually straighten up into this fluid movement. So we're just going to see increments up until the pole shift of the 21st of December 2012.
So what's our experience of that straightening? Is it earthquakes or what?
Yeah, it is. It's the whole of the Earth's crust is flexing and under a lot of stresses and strains at the moment, because eventually that has to implode into center. And I know people are just thinking, this is nuts, this is just psycho. This is what deluded stuff that George is saying. But if you really look at it from a much grander perspective, it's not. This planet is going to become a body of light. In other words, this planet's going to become a star. And this is normal. This happens all over the universe regularly, practically on a daily basis, if you look at our time scale. And this planet is going to do that as well. And it's just that humanity has been plunged into such a deep slumber that they've forgotten these sort of concepts. But they're inside each and every one of us. So I'm not saying anything new here to anybody. This is all deep down inside everybody. It's just a matter of getting reacquainted with yourself and reacquainted with that part of yourself that's connected to the all, and that part of you that has all this knowledge and wisdom within you. So I'm not saying anything deluded and anything crazy. It's just that people who are trapped inside the construct of our matrix and the paradigm of reality, they would view me as being crazy. It's just like there was a while back when someone said, hey guys, the world's actually round and not flat. And that person was called crazy and deluded, and it's just like people in today's world, if you talk about extraterrestrials, then you're crazy and deluded. But they're there, they exist. We're not alone. It's crazy and deluded to think that we're alone, and it's crazy and deluded to think that the world is flat. And it's also, it's a very sad thing that's happened to the human race, where they've totally lost contact with the planet, the consciousness of the being they're incarnate on, and lost contact with the consciousness of the being of the solar system they're incarnate inside of. We're in the body of the solar system, of the being that is the consciousness of the sun. So these concepts are normal on that level of awareness. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing delusional. It's just that people need to reacquaint themselves with that level of awareness and that level of understanding of the processes and the concepts of life in our universe.
Actually, this sounds very similar to what John Lash is saying about the planet. Are you familiar with him?
I listened to one of his interviews probably about a year ago and really liked what he had to say. And lately I've been getting a lot of emails from people saying, George, you know what? You and John Lash need to get together. And so I'm going to go back and look at his material, because a lot of people are saying to me that what you guys are saying are quite parallel.
Yeah, because currently what he's saying is that he calls the Earth Sophia, Gaia.
Yeah.
That she's a living goddess, and that she was asleep and now she's waking up, and she's literally course correcting. And so that we'll see the stars shift, we'll see where the sun comes up shift, and we'll connect to the center of the universe, the energies of the center of the universe when she corrects. So
exactly. I agree with him.
It's cool to have a totally different person say similar things. It's like, it sounded right the first time I heard it, and now I'm hearing it again from someone totally else,
Okay, well, while we're on that subject, look at it like this. The Lady Gaia personality is like our lower ego. So this planetary bodies have their planetary lower egos. And the Earth's crust and the natural environment on it is the Lady Gaia personality. It's her lower ego. And when you connect with that part, that's where she's been asleep, but also she's, on another level, she's been in a lot of pain. The sacrifice that she has made for us to facilitate this experience for the human race is phenomenal. I mean, it goes without words. I bawled my eyes out when I connected with that part of her body and that part of her being. And when you go deeper because when you go into yourself and you connect with your inner heart, the first place you go is down into the heart of Mother Earth, our Earth Mother, because that's the very next major connection you have with life. And when you hit that heart center in the core of the planet, you hit the Christ Sophia energy. And it is the feminine consciousness of this universe who's manifested herself as this planet so she can personally facilitate this human race. And she's about to give birth to a whole planetary race of embodied universal beings. Now, this is huge, what's happening here. When I said you've got the cabal and then you've got the rest of life, I'm telling you, this whole universe, their attention is on this planet right now. Because what happens here over the next 2 years has a ripple effect on the whole universe in a major, major way. Because this is the first planet that's going to give birth to a whole planetary race of universal creators of love and light. And this isn't New Age fluff. This is reality. The construct of this universe is light. And we've all come inside this universe to learn the construct of light. That's what we're doing here. And we've explored this universe, everything that it has to offer. I have had an incredible journey in this universe, and many other people who are here on the planet have had a similar journey. And we know this about ourselves. And I have seen everything there is to see. I have been everything there is to be in this universe. And we exist beyond this universe, okay? But I'm talking about the part of us that's taken the journey inside this universe. And it's incredible. And we're just about to graduate. Now, many of us who are on this planet, and I'm talking over 1 billion, probably 2 and even more billion than that, know this about themselves, that we're here to do this. You'd be surprised. Millions of people at the moment are fully aware that this is going on about themselves. And there's more and more that are reawakening, because this is the time that we were going to wake out of our slumber and come to know ourselves once again. So over the next 6 months, the rate, because it's an acceleration, it's a logarithmic acceleration. So, you know, we might have had 100 that woke up in the last hour. In the next hour, there's going to be 200. And the hour after that is going to be 300, if you know what I mean. So it's an incredible rate, accelerated rate of awakening. And Mother Earth is straightening up. And what's happening with her. And people need to get in touch with that level of life they are to understand these concepts, because we can verbalize it and people can understand this intellectually. And on one level, it does make sense. But to really know it, you've got to know it for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, well, just listening to you, I listen with my mind, but more I listen with my body. And my body's very excited about what you're saying.
Yeah, it's beyond the mind. These concepts are literally beyond the mind. When I say to get in touch with your inner self, you've literally got to go beyond the mind. Because what is the mind? You know, let's get real. I'm very much a realist. What is the mind? The mind is the software package of the brain. The mind is the interface, just like you have software on your computer. So the mind is where the ego resides, and the ego and the mind are pretty much one and the same thing. But also the mind is also plugged into the matrix. The mind construct that we're functioning from is an artificial construct in a matrix, and which emanates from the moon. So we have an invisible internet which we cannot see, and our brains being a biological computer, a biological transceiver, then it is plugged into this invisible internet, and that's why the majority of the thoughts people have are not even theirs. They're artificially induced, and that's the way the human race is being controlled. It's ingenious. Like, if you know, this is understanding this from the full scale of things of what's really going on here. This is not some conspiracy theory. This is fact. And a lot of people say, well, that's just crazy what he's saying, but it's not. It's reality. It's just these people don't have the capacity. And I'm not having to go in a derogatory sense. I'm just being realistic. People who judge people like myself for saying these things do not have the actual capacity to cope with the truth that is being exposed to them, the reality of their existence here and how the human race is being manipulated. It's simply you don't have the capacity to deal with that. And that's all it is. I'm not trying to be derogatory or elitist. It's reality.
Yeah. I have a question now about the sun. You've said that has been a false negative campaign against the sun.
Yeah.
Why? And what is the source and the purpose of this negativity? What's being said that's incorrect? And what's your opinion about the sun?
Crikey, you're asking big questions. How long have we got? Truth. All right. All right. First of all, you exist here because of the sun. End of story. Right? Basic 101 of existence. You exist here, first of all, because the sun manifested himself as his solar system and because this earth manifested herself as his planet. That's it. You exist because of these two beings. Without them existing here, you would not be here. It's about as simple as it gets. It just seems to be the most forgotten thing. It's crazy, isn't it? So our relationship that we have with the earth and the sun is of utmost importance. It's paramount. It's the most important thing. It's incredible how it's forgotten and the way our essence has actually come to be here. I mean, you know, when you enter a domain, if you're this high-level consciousness and you wish to have an incarnational experience somewhere and you chose like to come, let's have a look at the flow of our essence to actually find ourselves here on the planet. So you're this high-level consciousness and you're outside this galaxy and you're right, okay, I want to have an incarnational experience on Mother Earth. So what you do is you go and first of all, you've got to enter the galaxy. So you enter through the core and the heart. So you know the being that is that galaxy and you merge and you become one with that being on a galactic heart consciousness level. So in the core of the galaxy, the heart of the galaxy, you have a part of you that's there. And now to go to a star system, which is dropping down, it's stepping down the level of consciousness, you project an aspect of yourself from the core of the galaxy and you flow, like in this galaxy, we flow down the spiral arms of the galaxy, a river of life energy. And we then found, by law of attraction, we gravitated, okay, to our sun. And so we then enter, because we need to acclimatize ourselves, because each galaxy has its own vibrational patterns. So because, you know, you've chosen to come here because you wanted these set of experiences. So each galaxy you choose to incarnate in, you go there because of its vibrational patterns, and therefore it'll be the set of experiences you wanted to have. And it'll then supply you with the right amount of charge in your soul that you require. And that's why we do these things. And so we acclimatize ourselves with the vibrational pattern of the Milky Way galaxy. And then we project a part of ourselves, like I said, from the core of the galaxy, and we flowed down these spiral arms, these rivers of life energy, and we ended up finding the star. We were just attracted to it straight away. It happens very quick. And then we entered and merged and became one with the solar system, with the heart of the sun. That is the body, that is the being, that is the solar system, because each star system has its own unique vibration. So your essence now needs to calibrate itself with the vibrational patterns of that solar system. And then you've got a part of yourself that's in the heart of the sun. And then from there, you project an aspect of self to the core and the heart of the consciousness that is the planetary body you wish to incarnate onto. And so there's a part of you that's still in the sun. And now you've got an aspect of you that's now merged and become one with the Earth Mother, because you needed to now calibrate your essence to the vibrational patterns and acclimatize yourself to the reality of that planet. And then from the core of the planet, you then project a part of yourself out to the incarnational, the core of the incarnational embodiment that you wish to occupy. And that's how we've flowed. That's how we've come to be here. And so for a group of beings that want to control a life form, the first thing they need to do, and this is looking at it from the point of view of being a dark lord controlling of an empire who was to impose itself on a planetary system and take control. You can't just go in there with soldiers and think you're going to do it by force. It might last for a little while, but after a while, it's not going to work. Eventually, they'll find a way. So if you really want to control a reality, a life form, you've got to control the reality they exist inside of. So for this planet, in order to control humanity, you control the feminine. And that just explains everything, doesn't it? Control the feminine, control humanity. You suppress the feminine here, you are suppressing humanity. I mean, how obvious. And you just look back through history and have a look at what's happened to the divine feminine energy and the woman and what she's had to go through, and that just explains absolutely everything. And you look at how the women of Islam wear the veil, how nuns cover themselves up. It's symbolic of the woman is behind the curtain. And guess what? She's now stepping out from behind the curtain. And people like myself and people like, now that I understand what John Lash is doing, and many, many other people are saying, hey, this is the woman now is reclaiming her sovereignty. This is her body. And so, you know, for them to control us, they want to cut us off from our connection with the earth and cut us off from our connection with the sun. You know, and in ancient times, they did not worship the sun. Sure, there was some priesthoods which created religions around the concept, but beings like Akhenaten did not create a monotheistic religion. That's a load of crap. He came here and much, much earlier than what you're being told. He was here like 24,000 years ago in the beginning and set things up for this cycle. And it was the explanation of, and I know that just sounded crazy, but it is the truth, because big stories here. I mean, even the equipment we use to date things is fixed to tell the story that people want you to believe. Like, come on. You know, I used to be a computer not a programmer, a hardware engineer, and I used to work with computer programmers, and I tell you, every election in every democratic society is fixed. You know, the computers will put out whatever people want it to put out. I mean, you don't have to be a professor to work that out. And so, so what Akhenaten was saying was, this is the construct. It is the life force coming from the sun. This is, you know, he was just explaining things. He did not create a religion, but he did dismantle the priesthoods that were controlling people, you know. So this campaign against the sun is paramount for these beings that want to control us. And throughout the ages, they've hijacked the identity of the sun, and because false gods, demigods have come here and created religions so they can be worshipped by hijacking the identity of the sun. And the latest one we have with the identity of Jesus or Emmanuel or Yeshua, whatever you want to call him, the one we know as Jesus, well, the personality and the character that's been sold to the masses now is just ridiculous, because he was the walking incarnation of the sun. And he certainly was not into worship, and he certainly was not into flesh and blood rituals like you have in the churches. And that's not the work of the Christ that I know, that's for sure. So, you know, and it's the same being, whether it's Buddha or Krishna or Christ, you know, it's all the Christ consciousness. It's all the same consciousness. Buddha was a walking incarnation of the sun. The real Krishna was a walking incarnation of the sun. The real original Ra was a walking incarnation of the sun, the Horus. And so there's these beings, their identities have been stolen throughout the ages, and religions have been created from them. And it's all about worship and empowerment and control.
So right now, a lot of people are afraid of solar flares and that the sun's going to wipe out our atmosphere, our electricity, all that. Is that all false?
No, it's not false. Those days will come. It'll get to a point where things will be a little bit difficult. But what I want to say is that the way the planetary consciousness and the solar consciousness and all the other beings that are involved in managing this reality here, the plan is really quite thoughtful, because they've left it to the very last moment. So it's going to be very intense over a very short period of time. And I don't know about you, but I can feel the pressure cooker building. Pressure, you know, like things are steaming up. The pressure is building. The pressure is building. It's kind of like a cam effect. And as you get closer to the peak of the cam, the resistance is the greatest. And then it just gives. And that's pretty much what's happening here. One day the pressure cooker, the top is going to blow, and things are just going to spill into the public arena, which are very soon. I'd be surprised if it doesn't happen before the end of the year. I'll be quite shocked, actually. I'd expect something to occur between now and the end of the year. And it's interesting because I just cannot get anything to work towards the end of the year. I can't make anything happen. I cannot create any events. I can't organize or plan anything. And my higher self and my connection with the planet and my connection with all the beings that I have and ET races that I'm in contact with, everybody's preparing. I mean, even the natural kingdom, if you for those people who have that ability to speak with the natural kingdom, you speak to all the spiritual hierarchies with the kingdom of the trees and the animals and the aquatic races and the insect races. And my goodness, they're all their spiritual hierarchies, and everybody's preparing because, you know, the natural environment is working out who's going to go through and who's not. So it's not just about the human race as well. It's also about the natural environment that is also metamorphosizing. And that's another aspect people are leaving out of the equation. You can't have a planetary race of enlightened beings walking around an environment that's completely barbaric. You know, everything kills everything in order to survive. So that's a contradiction. So people don't take into consideration that the natural environment has served its purpose and provided the environment that we needed for this plunge into these really dark depths of barbarianism, of consumerism, and this incredible journey that the human soul, the collective human soul has embarked on and is now coming out of.
Wow, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Green Meadow. And in regards to the rise of the female energy, if this roundtable is any indication, it should be good. Continuing on, George Yule got an email from an Australian contractor stating the Australian government was secretly preparing for a once-in-a-10,000-year flood. There have been rumours about facilities in Pine Gap and under the Snowy Mountains in the east. Interestingly, Aboriginal elders have a belief that Uluru, which is in the centre of Australia, will be surrounded by water, and that Central Australia will become a major food-producing area for the planet. You did mention previously that 1/3 of the people will ascend, half are taken, and the remaining quarter or so will be left behind. What information have you been given about Earth changes affecting Australia and potential survival areas for those left behind?
Yeah, well, my understanding is there won't be, if there's survival areas, they'll be very short term. Because I'm staying with Mother Earth, but when I talk about, you know, people say, well, you know, you're talking about staying with Mother Earth, but then you're talking about the crust imploding into center. Well, it's like this. There's openings are going to appear all around the planet, and these will be openings in our reality which allow us to walk through into a higher frequency, and therefore we will be immune. We'll be in a safe zone. And we won't be feeling the effects of Mother Earth cleansing herself of the lower ego. So I don't feel in my heart, in my beingness, in my bones, that the planet is going to continue the way it is. For this environment, this ecosystem to continue the way it is, it's going to, it's still death and destruction constantly. It's still barbarianism. It's still consumerism. There's still things eating other things in order to survive. All the experiences that I've had tell me that we're going to be living off light. We're not going to be, because I've already experienced realities where beings just live off light. I've already traveled there lots of times in my life, even on this planet, into the fifth dimension. Which is known as Avalon or Shambhala or Chula to the American Indians, or, you know, it's got lots of different names. And it's not Agartha, that's something different. That's a holographic extraterrestrial base inside the Earth, that's different. So, and I've been there too. It's, I've had a weird life, I really have. So it really, I can't see that's going to be a part of our reality. Not the one I'm a part of. Maybe it's someone else's reality, but it's definitely not what I see Mother Earth doing. She's going to ascend and become a body of light. And everybody out there in the universe knows it. The planet knows it. The sun knows it. The natural kingdom that I'm in communication with knows it. And every single... you see, this is the challenge for the indigenous races. And I've had a lot of meetings with a lot of elders of the indigenous races, and I've still got a lot more to come. And there's a lot of indigenous tribes, and they're one with the natural kingdom, right? I mean, they're more connected than we ever have been, really, pretty much in this lifetime. And just like we're addicted to our synthetic construct, they're addicted to their natural construct. But both are done with. They're finished. And they're having problems with letting go. So it's a lot of the spiritual people within these indigenous communities haven't the capacity to see beyond the natural environment that they're connected with at the moment. So they don't realise that it's got to go as well. and it hurts them. It's a real challenge because, you know, the connection they have with their natural environment is really deep. It's not like us with our synthetic environment. I mean, you take a computer away from a kid who's addicted to computer games and watch the craziness, you know, reveal itself in front of you. I mean, they can get violent. So, but we're talking about a connection that's much deeper than that. So, yeah, they're having a lot. It's a big challenge for the Indigenous tribes. They've been the caretakers for so long, and they now have to let go of that natural environment. So they're struggling with it. This is what I'm working with behind the scenes with Indigenous elders. There are elders that know, they've known this for a long time. And they knew that as soon as we came along and took over their environments, it was time for them to let go as well and move on. And there's a lot of them that want to continue to nurture the natural environment and keep it going. But they don't realise that they have to let go because this natural environment needs to morph into something more beautiful now.
Yes, George, we do have topics on ascension and dimension later on, but in your alert for 2001 to Lisa Harrison, you said this is the year. You previously talked about it just in a few questions earlier. What do you think will be happening in 2011?
Oh, yeah. It's the next major plan. Next major step in the plan. It's like the pressure's building because we're dismantling everything behind the scenes. When I say we, me, and many people actually on this forum here and people listening, because, you know, when you go to bed at night and then you wake up in the morning and you're a lot more tired than when you first went to bed, it means you had a really busy night working behind the scenes. It's just that some of us, the way we organise the construct of our incarnation is we actually remember some of our events and other people just blank everything out. It's just the design, it's the way you designed your life. So we're all working very hard behind the scenes, and we're actually dismantling the infrastructure of control from, you know, out there inwards. We're also doing it from the inside out. We're working from both ends. And, you know, behind the scenes, this whole thing is just finishing. It's winding up. There's 1 million people on Mars already. You know, there's groups that will be taken to Mars. There's massive ships that are in our solar system, and they're the big taxi rides for people who are going to go back to that 4D cosmic sort of environment. You know, there's a whole lot of things at play here behind the scenes, and everyone's getting ready, and we're just waiting for the one big event that's going to spill into the public arena and get the ball rolling for this final surge right to the end. And it's going to be really soon. I feel it's going to happen either somewhere after September, around September, middle of September onwards. I can't say exactly when, and I can't say exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be something, and whatever it is going to be big. Because like I said, they need to really capture the awareness and win the minds of the hearts of the people, not just win them, take control. And they'll do it with whatever plan they've got and every piece of technology available to them to create, to plunge humanity deeper into a trance so they're easier to control.
Actually, the first step to dealing with it. The next question is from Gemini.
Hello, George. Good evening.
Hey.
In your Mel Fabricus interview, you spoke of how our Earth is organic and overlaid with illusion. Can you elaborate on this subject?
Oh, I would love to. It's the awareness. Our awareness is part of a synthetic construct which is overlaid itself over the natural order of things. So, you know, we actually don't live in harmony. I mean, the fact that we're using electricity right now shows it. The level of technologies and the way we live, our cities, our buildings, the way they're constructed, you know, it's all now in cities, and even the homes here in Australia now, especially, most of them are being built using steel frames. And, you know, in the high dimensions that I travelled, there's no such thing as steel. That does not exist, that element. Those sort of things do not exist. Electricity does not exist. You know, these sort of things don't exist in the fifth dimension and above. So the way of life there is quite different. So, you know, there's the natural order of things, and then we have overlaid over the top. And so if you look at a city, it's like skin cancer to Mother Earth. You know, it's quite painful, and it's very it's quite a disease. It's quite, you know, it makes her quite ill. She's struggling a lot, and it's our level of awareness. This is the synthetic overlay also has to do You know, when people talk about an illusion, let me put it this way. People say this is just an illusion, it's just a dream, it's not really real, this is all just a holograph and all that sort of business, you know, and that's a real cheap cop-out. It really is. This reality is real. What is an illusion is people's awareness and the way of life. That's the illusion. But the planet and the natural environment is real. It's an organic being. She's a very real being. She's offered up herself for a massive sacrifice so we can have this experience. And this concept of everything just being an illusion is the biggest cop-out. That actually comes from fear. That comes from fear from people who don't have the capacity to actually and the fortitude to engage and live their experiences and learn from their experiences here. But what is an illusion is the awareness. It's there is a reality to it, but it is quite illusionary relative to the organic level of life here. So they are the two differentials between the illusion and the real illusion and the natural organic construct of life here.
And how does one reach a level where they can see through
the best way that I've found to do that is to once again begin to reconnect with our inner selves, our greater selves, the part of us that organises life. Because when you start to go beyond the mind and get out of that mind construct and start getting back into your heart center, into the core of yourself, your essence of yourself, which is deep inside of you, that's the part of you that is connected with nature, that is also connected with the grander concepts of life. And that's the best way to go about it. There is really no other way which you'll do it properly. There are people who try to do it, you know, they use shortcuts. People try to, you know, they're always looking for the magic pill or looking for this or looking for an easy way out, maybe taking ayahuasca and things like that. But that'll only get you so far. It gets to the point where there's a thick universal membrane between the fourth and the fifth dimension, and that cannot be breached by any external means whatsoever. The actual design here, this divine plan we're inside of, is foolproof, and nobody can breach, and I mean nobody, doesn't matter who you are, cannot breach that universal membrane by any external means whatsoever. It can only happen organically through going within yourself and reconnecting with your true essence that is one with everything.
Thank you, George. We're moving on to the space entities and consciousness. I have a question from forum member S. Pace. Is each entity eternal, ourselves included? How do they appear to you? I've read that bad people are red-shaded and have an odor. Are they shades of color or just white? And how do they differ in separate dimensions?
Wow, yeah. The cosmos is so full of life. Oh, crikey. There is that many different variations of life. There's a lot of humanoid races out there, heaps, loads of them in this galaxy. More than the proportions of humanoid race in this galaxy are much higher than anywhere else. But, yeah, there's whale beings and, I mean, whales and dolphins on our planet are not fish, they're people. So there's so much. There's lion beings, there's bird beings, there's insect beings. I've seen mantis races that are some of the earliest major life forms that when the cosmos first began, it was the insect races because, you know, things were very harsh then. So life had a very tough exterior shell, and that's why the insect races came first. Then the draconians, and then the reptilians, and then the mammalians, the birds and the mammalian races. So different beings appear in different ways. I mean, yeah, there's some that you don't see their energy. There's some that you do see their energy. I mean, there's beings who were draconian. This is a big issue with our planet at the moment. There's beings who were draconian, who marauded life, created a really beautiful humanoid embodiment, who appear quite spiritual, quite loving in nature, but are very controlling, and I feel quite evil. And they're a group of Orion Nordics. They're not what they seem. They're very passive aggressive. Their attitude is very nurturing and caring on one level, but really quite controlling on another. They're very deceptive, these ones. And then there's beings who appear as with a false synthetic light structure, and if you don't have the point of reference, within your deep into your heart, then if you have just a shallow level of awareness, you can easily be fooled by these beings, and they can express this synthetic light and love, and you think you're in front of an angelic being. And that's happening to a lot of people on this planet, especially the channelings, my goodness. There's a lot of deception happening here with that sort of thing. So it just depends on, it's not just, bad ones are red in colour, and no, it's not like that. There's all sorts. I mean, we're talking about eons and eons of evolution in our universe. I just say to people, please don't be so naive to fall for the lures and the entrapments of these beings who have the ability to pose as love and light when they're not.
Is our EMF the way we appear after we shed the physical vessel?
When we shift, because the shift happens in stages. When we go back into the fifth dimension, we instantly morph our physical bodies into a 5D body. So we go even beyond the 7 chakra body, which is the 4D body. And we go into the 5D body, and it's a single energetic center in the middle of the chest. Now, that'll be for a short period of time, because it's in the fifth dimension that we will ascend from. So going back to the fifth dimension it's just the next step in ascension. And when we do ascend, we implode all of our dimensional aspects, and the planet does. We do it with her, both at the same time. And that's when the crust implodes and everything. And we then, everything implodes into an infinitesimal 0 point, and then what gets birthed is universal consciousness. And so they will have a planetary being expressing herself as universal consciousness. And you'll have the embodiments of the people being pure universal consciousness, no energetic centers, nothing like that, just pure universal light and love consciousness. And then an aspect of our consciousness will go, oh, sorry, you did say that there was ascension questions later, but it's just appropriate now. We flowed into it.
Sure.
An aspect of our consciousness will then go and start creating our own universe using the construct of light, because we will have achieved that.
So our energy is visualized through our individual EMF?
Our individual electromagnetic frequencies.
Yes.
Well, you can look at life through EMF. You can look at life through many levels. We are an assortment, an array of energetic spectrums, whether it's EMF, whether it's light, whether it's electrical. EMF is just one spectrum.
Thank you. Can we incarnate at will, or do you believe that is a privilege, if at all?
Oh, it's definitely not a privilege. It's something that's earned. And it's got nothing to do with elitism or anything like that. No, everybody's on their own journey, and the time frame, like I'm one of the first people with there are many here who entered the universe before others did. So there's a lot of people here. It's not their time to ascend, and they're going to ascend on another planetary body that's setting herself up to continue this process on in this galaxy. So those beings who are the consciousness of those planets, I've run into them here on this planet, and they're very brave souls indeed. So they're here observing what's going on, because they're facilitating this plan next. They've already begun. So there's people who are not going to ascend because it's not their time. They haven't completed. It's all about you start, when you enter this universe, you're whole and sanctified, and you're totally in balance and harmony. And as you start venturing down through the levels, and you fragment yourself and project yourself all over the place, and you explore different facets of all the different energetic charges in the universe, because it's a vibrational universe, it's a light construct. You then create charges of negative and positive in various different archetypal spectrums. And then the whole point of it is to go through, explore everything, and then at the end of it all to rebalance everything. And that's why we're in this galaxy, and we're on this planet, because this is the very end of that process for many of us. And that's what the Mayan calendar is actually saying. It's the cycle we're closing is on a universal scale. And the consciousness, that universal consciousness that's connected to the closing of that cycle, not just galactic, not just cosmic, but universal, is our consciousness. We're the ones who are completing that journey through this universe and closing and achieving everything, because all those cycles close at the same time, and that's what we've achieved.
Thank you, George.
Okay.
Thanks, George. We might just have a quick 1-minute break, if you don't mind, and then we'll take it up after that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Back in a moment.
We are speaking with George Kavassilas. Please visit his website at georgekavassilas.org and our-journey-home.com. George, continuing on, we have a peculiar area in Cliff's work of the WebBots about a data gap, where originally in 2001 he saw a data gap appearing in March 2012, but as of the recent run he saw that still appearing in March 2012, but actually stopping, has a hard stop in May 2013, where he no longer gets any psychic leaks of the future. Does that corroborate with anything in your data or work or research?
Well, that's just truly amazing to hear that, you know, here we have now artificial intelligence that is also totally synchronizing with the precessional cycle in the way that I've been sharing it. And yeah, for me, the precessional cycle ends on the 21st of March 2013. We're in the precession of the equinoxes. You know, the cycle does not finish on the solstice. A lot of people would beg to differ with that. And it really has to do with the fact that if you finish the cycle on a solstice, you finish on a time that's out of balance. The solstice is maximum daylight, minimum darkness, or maximum darkness, minimum daylight. The scales are way out of balance. The balance points are the equinoxes. And so we're here to achieve balance. We're here to live in a balanced state. So the cycle actually finishes on an equinox where the scales are perfectly balanced. Equal amount of darkness, equal amount of light, equal amount of positive charge, equal amount of negative charge, perfect harmony and balance between masculine and feminine and all dualistic charges. So that's a very, very important point. And I'm just really pleased to hear that. And you know what else is fascinating? The Montauk projects, I mean, they went forward in the timeshare experiments. They went forward multiple times, and each time they went forward, they went forward via a different route. Their projections forward in time, but every time they got to the 21st of March 2013, everything just went pure light, and this reality ceased to exist on this level. And I find that absolutely fascinating because, you know, that's why we've got 1 million people on Mars already. They've known this for a long time, and they've got their Project Genesis happening, and they're getting ready to recolonize Mars. A large group of people, not the majority of the population of Earth, but those people who feel that is the right path for them to go and live in that level of life and technology. So, yeah, there's the ETs that were running these timeshare experiments have facilitated a lot of people to go to Mars. So they're aware of what's going on behind the scenes. Not everybody in the ruling elite and the shadow government and even off-world empires are fully aware of what's happening. But there are those who do know. So I'm really pleased to hear that WebBot is seeing things in a very, very similar way to what we've been sharing.
If anything, the WebBots, I guess, help with other people's research in terms of getting timelines, etc. I'll pass it over to Jemdi.
Hi, George. This is Jemdi again.
Hey, Jemdi.
Carl Kalaman talked about the Mayan calendar ending on October 28th of this year, of 2011. And are you familiar with Carl Kalaman?
I've heard of him. I've seen him in bits and pieces, like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I recently saw him on a conference to do with Elenin, and yeah, I like what he has to say. I really resonate with what he has to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that it was very important for people to awaken spiritually before that date, and because he feels that the Mayan calendar, you know, is ending on that date. So do you feel he is right about the ending of the Mayan calendar on that date and his sense of urgency for people to awaken before then?
Well, from the way he sees the Mayan calendar, the way he understands it, and to a degree he's right, and to a degree I would say there's parts of what he says I don't agree with. simply because my understanding is that, you know, the bits and pieces of the Mayan calendar that we've had, it's like this. In the ancient times, we didn't write in paper, we wrote in stone. And I was one of the beings who were involved in creating the Mayan calendar, as I know that's a big call, but I was. And, you know, fragments, it's like the calendars that we had created back then. The main one was created in Palenque, by the way. And then you had all these different areas all around the place that had their main calendar. It's like today you've got the Bible, right? Just how many versions of the Bible is there going around? And there's a lot of differences between them, okay? So it's like that, lost in translation, or, you know, people put their own spin on things. And so there's different versions of the main calendar getting around. And we know, well, I know that the harmonics were out by a little bit by some of the elders who created their main calendars. They didn't quite, there was some differences of opinion. So, you know, after 5,500 years to be out by just 3 months, you know, that's not too bad for some of them.
Yeah.
But the real harmonics, you know, the real harmonics of our life here, and the connection of the precessional cycle to our DNA. And like, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not an academic. I'm not a professor. I'm not, you know, I'm not a scientist. I'm just an everyday guy who's trying to bring through ancient memories. And these are the harmonic equations that I share on my website. And that's why I urge people to take a look at them. And someone who knows about harmonics better than I do, who understands maths, who understands the construct and the harmonics of our DNA, please take a look at those numbers. I really ask people to do that. And there's people that have looked at them. I've tried offering to people who do study harmonics, and they said, you know, this is beyond me. I got one back from a guy recently who said, I think these equations are beyond even my capacity. So I'm just hoping there's going to be someone there that really does take a grasp of them and runs with them, because, you know, to connect our DNA with the harmonics of the precessional cycle and a whole lot of other things is pretty, I think it's pretty good stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot going on there.
All right. Thank you, George. And I have another question. You were targeted on your journey through the 12 realms by manipulative entities. How is this manifesting itself in your current everyday life, and how are people who have reached a higher level of consciousness being affected by these manipulative entities?
Well, yeah, as I was going through the different levels of the universe, I was in a state where I was unreachable. So I just understand where beings reside. Like when you got the demigods, who are the deities of our religious, dogmatic religious organizations, they reside at the top of the fourth dimension. It's common knowledge to anybody who's connected to the universal consciousness what's going on with these beings. It's, you know, it's just common knowledge. So it's nothing revelatory as far as that's concerned. It's just understanding these beings are here to feed off humanity, and they create dogmatic religions, not just on this planet, but in other systems all over the place. So it's a common theme, and it's a common understanding. Now these entities, okay, so I was in that incredible state of all knowing and being, and so I needed to come back to this reality. What happened was, when I returned, my energetic appearance here changed, because all of a sudden I had a much grander energetic charge than before. So it's like I was a beacon sticking out in the darkness, you know. So I got their attention, and they really went to town on me, and they've been attacking me ferociously, especially the last 7 years. But now it's starting to ease off a bit, because my inner light now is really starting to come forth, and it's kind of like a pile of hot coals, you know. If you have a little pile of hot coals, you can get quite close. You can put your hands fairly close to it. But if you have a big pile of hot coals and it's putting out a lot of heat, you can't even come within 20 feet of that thing before you start to burn. So it's kind of like that. The more you shine your inner light, the more you sing your song, the more you just be, the more you emanate your true, authentic resonance and authentic self, they have problems coming near you. And so you weed out all the lower vibratory entities, and you really ended up just having interactions with the very highly sophisticated ones who are into manipulation. So that's what's going on with me at the moment. And yeah, it's been a very interesting journey. And so
people that have a higher level of consciousness, their light would be bright for the same entities, and they would be also being attacked, just in their everyday lives. They could be being attacked also, correct?
Oh, there's many that are experiencing that. Oh, absolutely. I talk to people all the time with that sort of thing going on in their lives. I get emails from people all over the world regularly. Please help me. They're saying,
yeah.
And it really, constantly. And the trick with all this is to really understand why people are being attacked. And it's all about looking at how the darkness serves us, why we're being attacked. So really, we contracted them to come and do this to us from a higher level so we can be challenged. And so I urge everybody to start digging deep, dig into themselves, bring their light out and start empowering themselves, because the more you ask another entity to do it for you, the more you give your power away. And in a way, the ones of the false light get dark entities, they work for them, and they try to scare you enough to the point where you're going to beg for help. And you become vulnerable, and then they'll send their entities from the false light to come and save you and shoo away the bad guys, and then they've got you, So it's a clever plan. It works really quite well. And there's a lot of people that are falling for that. I mean, look at the New Age movement; it's full of that stuff. So, it's a massive con, and people are just falling for it left, right, and centre. But the whole point of it is empower yourselves. This is about becoming a sovereign being, reclaiming our sovereignty, being true to your heart, standing in your own power. And this is a big subject. We could talk quite some time on this, but that's
I know.
That's the summary. That's the summary of it. And
well, I just have a few other little questions to go along with that. Would it help to send unconditional love to these entities when you feel you're being attacked or not?
Well, unconditional love is neither negative or positive. Okay. And yes, it does. It does have an effect. It's kind of like I was being abducted and having some really horrible experiences, like really bad. Some really, really difficult challenges. And I remember being on the bench one time and I was actually being raped by a hybrid, and there was a whole lot of other ET racists standing around watching, and it's an awful thing to have to experience, and you end up going places within yourself where you just never knew existed, and you explore all these because. Yeah, and also I've also been tortured really badly. So when you are suffering so much extreme pain, you also just explore areas, because if you keep feeling that pain, you will die from just from the intensity of the pain. Your body won't cope. So what happens is you automatically go into this sort of numbed state, and you become detached from yourself in this way.
Disassociate.
Yeah, and so you're no longer feeling the pain, and you start exploring places within yourself, and it was really it got to the point where I just looked at those beings around me in both occasions and said to them, "It doesn't matter what you do to me, I will always love you." And in that moment, I would say I got beyond all victimhood, and I have to say that was the most powerful thing I've ever said. And when you can get to that point, you really got to the big stuff. I'm not saying that to have tickets on myself. I'm saying that because I experienced that and I achieved that. And people can judge me however they like, but when you can do that, you really are coming from a place of unconditional love.
Oh, well, I would only judge you in a positive way for that, so I don't see how anybody else could judge you any other way.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what's going on out
there. Will sending this unconditional love help Gaia, Sophia, and other humans with the ascension process?
Yeah, it does. The biggest thing that would help Gaia at the moment is just a bit of gratitude. It's really simple. To help Mother Earth at the moment, just acknowledge her. She just doesn't even enter anybody's thoughts. The overwhelming majority of the population on the planet doesn't even think about her. You'd be lucky if they think about her in a way of gratitude once a year. if that.
Mhm.
There's
Oh, I
people
know.
who go through year after year and don't even give her a thought. All they think about is their cars and the job and the renovations on their home and saving up for a holiday and just matrix stuff. So, yeah, it just begins with acknowledgement and appreciation. And because, you know, we hear about Zed, and his sacrifice was far, far greater than we've been told. I mean, a lot greater than what the church has revealed to humanity. And I know the truth about this, and I've had debates in the Vatican about this stuff. I've been taken there in their ships. They've got a fleet of UFOs, and they pick people up and move around behind the scenes. Lots of governments have got them, so I'm not saying anything stupid. I had a massive heated debate with cardinals and whatever in the Vatican. My memory got screamed, but I do have memories of what was said, and it got really heated. And yeah, so they were terrified. They threatened me and everything, and they're terrified of me revealing this information. But the truth is, there's a being whose sacrifice is even greater than the male Christ's energy, and that's the feminine Christ, the Christ Sophia, and her sacrifice is even greater, the divine feminine's. So that's the forgotten hero in all of this, and I do talk about it often. And there's a big story behind this. And for me, every woman on this planet's a hero, because for us men, we have no idea what they go through from moment to moment, because each woman is experiencing that archetypal, sacrificial life of servitude. And there's women who resent it, that go against it. And really what's happening here in this world is so beyond what a man's, you know, I'm only just scratching the surface of it, and it freaks me out. I've broken down so many times trying to connect with it and understand it. So, yeah, it's so deep for the woman. It's really, really deep.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you, George. And I'm going to send the next question on to Gemini.
Okay.
George, in a previous interview, you mentioned that your alien family came to you and showed you many realms. Can you please expound on this fascinating experience?
Oh, that was really good, because, you know, you've got this thing called universal law of non-interference. So I'm just going to preface it with that, because people say, well, you know, how can you have beings coming from a high domain who abide by the law of non-interference, yet you got, you know, picked up? Well, you see, I organised that prior to my incarnation, so they're not interfering. They're actually going with my contract, so they weren't interfering. So they came at a particular point in time, and I wasn't aware of it until after my experience I had with them. So, yeah, they picked me up, and we went with a smaller shuttlecraft, and we went to a much larger craft, and they facilitated this incredible experience for me to go up through the dimensions of our universe. And because everything that animates me into existence came out of this body. And so what happened was the body would have perished. So they looked after it for me while I took this journey with my I Am presence. And what happened was, what kept my body alive was not technology, but was our unified field of love that we have together with my galactic family. So it was our unified love energy that kept my body going. And so I got to come out of my body and then travel the universe and then come back. It was an incredible experience. When I got back, I couldn't stop laughing, because at the point of when I was just lying there on this really comfortable, like loungish sort of chair, laid back sort of chair, I still had a lot of the lower ego happening. And then when I came back, you know, at that point in time, I remembered everything. I had full recall, and I just couldn't stop laughing because I rediscovered what life was all about. And the laughter was incredible. It was so deep, so beautiful, and we all hugged and laughed together. And it's just phenomenal when you break free from this matrix and these lower domains. You really, yeah, it's quite comical on one level. And then since I've come back into this matrix, it's kind of like a pea soup. So I've got fragments of it, threads of it, just enough to share enough information with people that'll help trigger their awakening. So it was incredible. I mean, you know, here's me traveling up from the big ship and then going just with pure I Am consciousness you know, and I'm traveling up, and I'm basically just seeing the galaxy just spiral right down into a tiny little dot of light, and all these galaxies just shrinking into a tiny vortex of light, and my consciousness then just popping out, emerging with an even greater aspect of myself, and then just looking, I remember from that greater aspect, looking at this tiny little vortex of light, and knowing that one little spin, which happened very quickly, like, you know, in about half a second, a spin of that vortex of light was eons and eons and eons and eons of evolution down here in the cosmos. It was just phenomenal. And so when I got to see outside the universe and see into the omniverse and see universes as far as I could see, and understand that we're all infinite. I mean, we're all infinite. There's no one God that is the ruler of all things. I mean, that's insanity from a demigod who's got an ego that's totally deluded, who resides at the lower end of this universe. There is not one God that rules all. Sure, there's God, the creator of this universe, but when you connect with the creator of this universe, it'll be the first being to tell you that you exist infinitely beyond it does as a universe. And all those universes out there are us, you know, and we've all projected aspects of ourselves inside this universe. And we do that to each other. You've got your universe happening out there, and Jules, you've got your universe happening out there, and, you know, and everybody has got their universe happening out there, and we're all inside one another, because when we express ourselves in a universal construct, each expression is unique, and therefore they're all different constructs. So we've all come inside this one, and this being is expression is light, and we've come inside to learn this construct we call light. And that's what it's all about. But as far as the totality of life goes, there is no totality. We've never been born or spawned out of any God matrix construct, and that we are totally infinite, and that nothing exists beyond each one of us, and that we are all the all together.
Okay, that makes sense. And in that same interview, you discussed how we exist in a matrix where the Christ consciousness is in control. How many matrices are there, and how do we, in your opinion and or experience, end up in this Christ consciousness?
Well, the Christ consciousness, what people label the Christ consciousness, the real one, is basically just the creative personality of God, or the creator of this universe. That's what it is. And that is the spark of life, or the essence of life, that helps create and manifest and express life into existence in this universe. That's its basic definition of it. And it's a wonderful energy. It's like, because we've been deprived and we've been taken to the extreme of separation, you know, when someone even experiences even a conditional love energy, they think it's like a child to candy. It's just a wonderful thing. But really, the level of consciousness that I'm talking about, it's inside each one of us. And the sun is a fractal of that energy as well. The consciousness of the sun is actually the male expression of our universe, manifested himself as the sun. So you've got the male and the female that are facilitating this experience for us firsthand. And it's an incredible energy. I mean, yeah, that's why people do that solar gazing and all that. It really just, yeah, there's a part of us that's in the sun. Our heart, we're in the heart of the sun. We're all children of the sun.
Interesting. You had discussed meeting a Dark Council in an interview with Veritas, where you had met with them and thanked them for giving you the experience that you had. Who are they? From where do they rule? And how were you able to be in their presence?
Yeah, that was, can you just say that again, please?
The Dark Council that you met with.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
And you had thanked them, and what I would like to know is, from where do they rule, and how were you able to be in their presence?
Well, I don't choose these experiences. I don't sit there as George and say, okay, now I want to have this experience. Everything, even astral traveling, I never willingly astral traveled. Everything that I've experienced has just happened. So it's just my life's course, my journey. And it's really, I've had a crazy life. I mean, it's extraordinary, the experiences that I've had. Yes. And these dark lords, yeah, they're like a council, because the way it works, the dark side, I mean, you know, really, if people think the dark side's not working for God, then, or the creator of this universe, then they've got to think again. I mean, if anything exists in this universe, the creator created it, you know. I had this incredible debate with this Christian once, and I said, did God create evil? He said, oh, no. Oh, God would never do a thing like that. I said, oh, is that right? Yeah, it was a real fanatical Christian. And I said, are you sure about that? He said, yeah. No. I said, what's evil then? He said, evil is the absence of light. I said, oh, okay, so does evil exist? He goes, oh, yeah. I said, oh, so then God created evil. Oh, no. And we kept going round and round in circles. Eventually I said, so is your God the creator of all things? Oh, yeah. I just left it at that. He just missed the point altogether. So, these lords of darkness, these are the ones that manage the dark side here and do work in conjunction with the creator. See, somebody's going to manage the dark side of things. And this is a perspective from beyond duality now. This is getting out of victimhood, okay? So, really, these guys do an incredible job. And I got to the point where I just found myself in front of them. And I said, right, I actually want to kneel before these guys and in all humility and say to them, thank you. Thank you for all the misery, all the suffering that they've ever imposed on me, not just in this lifetime, but also in other lifetimes and in other realms, because I would not have had the learning and the experiences and the challenges and not have created that charge in my soul without having these experiences. So technically speaking, everybody should be eternally grateful for these beings and what they have done, because they have provided the infrastructure and the environments for people to incarnate into and have incredible experiences and learn and grow. And if people are stuck in victimhood and they're still stuck in the drama of duality, they won't grasp that concept. They'll just think it's crazy.
All right. Thank you, George.
Yeah.
George, this is Lambert again. The WebBot Hi. The WebBot reports make predictions based upon the idea that when we write or communicate, we subconsciously use words that are part of the universal consciousness that we all share.
Mm.
Is the 4D cosmic mind that you speak of the same thing, or is it something else? And does an understanding of it bring us an idea of what is to come?
Yeah, the 4D cosmic mind. Wow, that's a big one. Okay. You know, when people get really involved in meditations, and this is a lot of the entrapments of the Buddhist religion, current day Buddhist religion, not the original teachings, right? Because every religion on this planet's been manipulated. Right? Everyone thinks their religion is pure. Okay, my football team's better than yours. It's just habitual. It's the program, right? So, has Buddhism been manipulated? Of course, it has. And so all this concept of going into the mind, they focus on the mind, and then they go into the, universal mind. Well, a lot of them are being entrapped into collective hive minds, and they're experiencing the 4D cosmic mind. It's an ego, and it's a mind construct. It is not organic heart consciousness. That's different. It's a different construct. But people like that sort of thing. So, it's like meditation's good, because I've had lives as monks. I've been a Buddhist monk in Tibet in a previous life. I've had life as a Christian monk. I've had these lives of servitude in that respect, lives of scarcity and lack and abstinence and all. I've done all that. They're good for a while, but they really have a negative effect in the long run if you keep at it all the time. So that's just, that's a subject for another time. So really the cosmic consciousness that is spoken of is something deeper than mind construct. We're talking about heart consciousness, essence of construct of being, not mind intellect, because the 4D cosmic mind is colossal, it's enormous, and there's a lot of beings who have created a lot of paradigms based on that construct. It's something to be very careful of. It is mind, and this is about going beyond meditative mind constructs, and it's important to go into your heart.
I see. All right. So my next question is, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit before, but the question is, the powers that be, which are becoming the powers that were, have been involved with the control of our lives for a very long time. Are these powers related in any way to those you call that are from the false light and the demigods, which are part of the false light? And if so, how can we speed up our liberation from these beings?
Yeah, okay. How can we speed up our liberation? Yeah, each question has so many dimensions to it. Okay, technically speaking, no one can speed anything up because the future's already happened. Past, present, and future exist all simultaneously. So the reality is the future's already happened. So you can't do it from the highest perspective. It already exists. So, okay, the powers that be and the powers that were, it's basically the powers that were. It might appear that they're still in power, but they're not. We're the ones in power. You see, we contracted them to come and do this to us. This is the forgotten agreement on a universal soul contract level. And this is humanity's group soul level contract with these forces of darkness and forces of limitation. So they are definitely the powers that were. Technically speaking, we've always been in control. We've just let them come and do this to us. That's reality. People from the dark agenda will just think that's totally absurd, but that's just a reaction from the ego and their obsession for power and control. Now, we really the process is to, for me, is for the ego, for each of our egos. If you really want to get a handle on things and empower yourself, you've got to get your ego to surrender to the greater you. That's it. It keeps coming back to that. And we are dismantling the structure, both from inside it on this level, and we're dismantling it from outside, even though you're not aware of it. It's what we're doing. And there's people that say we've got to arm ourselves, we've got to get out there, we've got to make it happen, all that. Fine. If people feel like that's the role they need to play, then that's their soul journey. Go for it. It's not my journey to, go and demonstrate in the streets and things like that. I'm already playing my role. That's obvious. I'm doing it this way. So whatever someone feels they need to do, go ahead and do it. I just don't recommend as force and violence to be the answer. I don't feel it's not a recommendation from me. It's not, because that's externalizing. I mean, this is about internalizing now. This is about to see who's really got it and who hasn't, because any monkey can beat on a monkey, right? If you really, really want to get there, start being the inner warrior and not the outer warrior, because people do it externally. They haven't got it internally. That's why they do it externally. So start doing it less externally and start doing it internally, and really empower yourself from within, because then you really know, then you have more power and control over the matrix around you. And then you don't need to do anything in the way of arming yourself, because basically you control the flow of the way you're maneuvering yourself through the matrix. It's incredible. And there was so much truth in that movie, The Matrix. You really do end up having incredible control of the course and the destiny, the way you move through this matrix. You really do. And I really mean it. It literally does happen. Not maybe literally to the extent as the way the movie portrayed. The way it occurs is things maneuver themselves, reorganize themselves, so you avoid physical altercations.
Wow. Thank you for your perspective on that, George. Thank you so much.
Yep. You're very welcome.
George, this is Lua, and I'd like to ask you some questions from Forum Member Human. Can you confirm that there is a war going on right now between the dark aliens and humanity, aided by the benevolent ETs?
Yeah, and that's all the, well, you can call them benevolent, sure. I'll explain what it is. You have the ETs that are on the negative side, negative dark side of the scales of duality, and then you have ETs who are on the positive white love and light side of the scales of duality. They're exactly equal and opposite to one another. They are the alter egos of one another. How I know this is because I have this energy within me. Once again, go back to within yourself, you'll understand everything going on around the outside of you. The more you know yourself, the more you know what's going on around you. So the ones who are in the white, positive love and light, ETs, see themselves as though they are above, they are better, and they are above and beyond the negative side of duality. So for people who have had a long time in the negative charge of things, now want relief from that and feel that they want to now spend time over in the positive, white love and light side of things. Me, I'm done with both, and I'm leaving that paradigm, that drama, that arena that both of these energetic charges exist in those expressions, and I'm out of here. I'm ascending. So that's what me and millions and even into the billions of people on this planet are going to do, because we know that about ourselves. So the drama. Sorry, did you want to ask another question?
No, that's okay. Go on.
Yeah. Now the drama that's going on between is humanity's caught inside the drama between these two factions of duality, and that's what I'm trying to make people aware of. So people are swinging from one side of the ledger and now want to go into the other side of the ledger. I said, wouldn't it be interesting if you had someone that's sitting that has control on both of those energetic charges, okay? And you have someone who's created a synthetic white love and light positive structure, or it appears as such, and you have beings who are who appear as though they're love and light, and that, you know, there's thousands of ET races that have been assimilated into these structures, and they truly believe what they're doing is the right thing, but they themselves don't realise that they are they have a limited awareness and they don't know everything that's going on, because they've been inside a limited paradigm of awareness for a very long time. Now, they don't see it. It's just like people on this planet, because, you know, a great man once said, as above, so below. So you've got people on the planet here who think they're free, and they're living this wonderful life. They're going to work, you know, they're doing the shopping, you know, saving up for a holiday, and that's great. But are they free? No. And you've got to understand that also exists, that concept also exists on a cosmic level. So you've got all these ET races who are, you know, having this incredible experience with wonderful technologies, really think they understand the soul and incarnational experiences, and they're understanding life on that level. And they think they're free. But are they? No, they're not totally free. They're just living within a particular paradigm as well. So it's kind of like what they're trying to do to the human race now is like, let me give you an analogy. Here on this planet, you have a group of people that have been living in a third world country under a dictator, and they've had a really, really hard time, you know, and that's the analogy of planet Earth. And then all of a sudden, this group comes along called the United Nations, or shall we call it the Federation of Free Worlds, or the Galactic Federation of Light. And then they come along and they say to these people living under this dictatorship, we're going to get rid of your dictator, and we are now going to free you from your dictatorship. So we're going to now welcome you into the United Nations. So you are now going to be a free country, and we welcome you into our community. And so people then, representatives then go and have these wonderful meetings. They stand up there really proud to represent their country. They're now being welcomed into the United Nations, and they now feel that they are free. But are they?
No.
No. And so here you have these, because humanity's been living under this dictatorship here on this planet for such a long time, you know, the moment a structure that is, the boundaries are colossal compared to ours that we currently exist inside on, but they are still boundaries, right?
Yes.
They're going to flock to it. They're going to think that they're free, that we're being, and this is what all the talk is, isn't it? They're welcoming us, they're mentoring us, and they're welcoming us into the galactic community, you know? And what I'm trying to warn people of is that is not freedom. That is going from one set of boundaries into another set of boundaries. But yes, it is freer, but it's not freedom.
Is that what you're talking about when you're saying half the race will be harvested?
It'll be harvested, yes, but on many levels. But the majority, yes, they will be taken off-world to these groups. That's the bulk of the human race will be taken into those groups and some of them will actually go to a very awful place.
Oh, really? Okay, you've said that roughly half the human population do not have individual souls, but rather group souls like flora and fauna. Is that the half you're talking about?
I never said that they don't have souls. I don't know where you got that from, but I've never ever said
souls?
that.
Okay. This was another question from humans, so I'm afraid I can't qualify that.
I've never ever said that half the world's population don't have individual souls. Never ever said that. No.
Oh, okay, good.
It just must be a misinterpretation. No, what I did say is that about half the world's population probably won't ascend.
Won't ascend?
Yeah, that's, if you would give me percentages and numbers, if I was to give you that, people ask me, how many people do you think is going to ascend, George? Well, I've felt for some time and I still feel, and that could change, right? It could change just with the level of awareness I have right now. I still feel roughly about a bit over 2 billion people will ascend, and about half the world's population will go off world, and the rest will perish. And so the amount of people that will perish in the earth changes will be very small.
Sorry, Lord, just to clarify, I think it was Georgy Stankov, who's a reputed ascended master, was the one that said that half the people didn't have souls. So go ahead, Lord.
Oh, okay. Well, you're saying that half of humanity does not ascend into the fifth dimension. Half and about 2 billion do, and the rest perish.
Yeah, and the ones that don't ascend, it's not their time yet. That's all. This isn't about right or wrong.
Thank you. That was what the question was. Do they continue in a physical existence?
Yeah, and even if their embodiments perish, their soul will gravitate towards one of the planets that are setting themselves up to facilitate this process next. Next time there's going to be about 2 or 3 that do it parallel instead of just this one that takes this process on. So things are getting really interesting because of, the forces of darkness and limitation will have 3 planets to play with, and we're going to have 3 planets to go and incarnate onto and be challenged with. So, and there'll be, the numbers will increase into the ones that leave the lower paradigms, which really annoy the crap out of the forces of darkness that like to feed off these beings. So, the drama is unfolding incredibly in these lower domains.
Yes, it certainly is. Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Time Monk Radio Network, and we're speaking with George Kavassilas. Please visit his website at http://georgekavassilas.org and http://our-journey-home.com. Now we get into the Ascension, and the next question is from Green Meadow.
Hi, George.
Hey, Jules. Sorry. Hi. Jules, do you mind if I interrupt there just for a moment?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, is it okay if I just explain to people that I'm coming over to Canada and the US, and they'll have an opportunity to come along and experience a live seminar?
Where will you be? Yeah, go for it.
Okay. We're heading over to Canada, and we're going to be in Vancouver Island in Vancouver. And then we're heading into the States. We're going to be at the Ascension Ranch, which is Trout Lake, Washington. And then we're heading over to Chicago and Boston. And all the details of that can be found on the websites.
What's the best website for this information, George?
Well, the best one for that information would have to be our-journey-home.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Green Meadow, you had a question for George.
Yes. This question comes from forum member Space. Could you describe Ascension? What can we expect to experience when we ascend? What are the requirements to ascend higher to the next realm? Yeah,
okay. The Ascension process is, it happens in stages. We're already in it. It'll depend where we look at it from. We descended into the Dark Ages. We bottomed out. And you can say that we started ascending collectively at the Renaissance. That's when Ascension began. And so we have been ascending for a few hundred years. Now, right now we're at the very intense part of the Ascension process. And the way it works is the more we increase our frequency, the more we start to merge with our higher self. We start expressing the higher aspect, like the 5D aspect, and above, more often in our day-to-day state of being, in our conscious awareness. And that means that the veil between our lower egos and our higher self is thinning. And it happens more and more and more. And it's going to get to the point where the veil is going to be so thin that eventually this aspect of self will end up just merging completely with the higher self. And in that moment, an opening will appear in this reality, and we'll just simply walk through into the fifth dimension. And the moment we do that, as we walk through it, we will morph and into our 5D embodiment. And that's how I understand the process. And those openings will start occurring towards about the end of this year, which I feel is around the time of what Cullinan says is the ending of the Mayan calendar. And so from about the 28th of October and onwards, I don't know the exact places because it's up to the individual soul journey how this occurs, and they will happen all the way through till the 21st of December 2012. People going through those openings finishes on the 21st of December 2012. So you've got roughly about a year or so. And so not everybody goes through at the same time. We're all on our individual journeys. So there'll be some, I might not go through till the end of 2012. I don't know yet when it'll be for me. I'd like to think I'm going through sometime in the next 12 months. So that's my feelings. And then what happens is a lot of us will be coming back out because we'll have work to do. And when we do come back out, we'll be in a much more empowered state. And we'll be able to biolocate around the planet and do what we need to do, not in an ego sense. We don't have to put on any shows for anybody or anything like that. We just go about our business. And so the platform of the fifth dimension is where we're actually going to ascend from, because ascension is not going to the fifth dimension. We're returning to the fifth dimension, but the full-blown ascension is to become a universal creator of love and light. So the fifth dimension on the 21st of March 2013, Earth time out here on this level of reality, is when Mother Earth will hit center with her axis, and we'll be in the fifth dimension on her body still, and then all the dimensions implode. Ours do on an individual basis, the planetary ones do, and simultaneously everything implodes to an infinitesimal 0 point, and then a new expression of life is birthed. And it's fascinating because I've often asked Mother Earth, what colour are you going to be when you become a body of light? And I just keep getting magenta. I've been getting magenta for the last few years, and I'm still getting it today from her. And I've had a few emails from people saying, you know what, and people coming up to me in person in my travels of late and saying, I got picked up by my Galactic family, and I was taken in the future, and I was shown Mother Earth, and she was a star, and she emitted magenta colour. And I think that's just amazing how people have been experiencing this throughout their lives, and they just thought, they didn't want to say anything because no one else was saying anything out there about this. But now that I'm voicing a lot of these concepts, you'd be surprised how many people are coming out of the woodwork, so to speak, and correlating their own personal experiences with the information I'm sharing.
Yeah, I can believe it. So some people describe ascension as leaving the body behind, which sounds a lot like death. So how is ascension different from death?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because there's different versions of ascensions that are on offer. Okay? Now, the one I'm talking about, the one I'm doing, as far as I'm concerned, is the organic path. And because when one is rebirthed or one is birthed, one's birthed through the womb of the mother. And those openings are represented by the Vesica Pisces, which is the real original meaning of the fish of Christianity. And I talk about this in my seminars, because the fish of Christianity is a female thing. It's not a male thing. I mean, you just complete the circles. It's two circles intersecting, right? So it's all to do with the Vesica Pisces and the womb of the mother. And there's images everywhere, all around, Christendom, of beings that are highly evolved stepping out of the womb, coming into this reality from Avalon or from Shambhala, or whatever label you want to give, or heaven, whatever label you want to give that realm. It has many names from many different cultures. So, I've been into that realm many times in this lifetime as well. I leave my body here. and I will manifest the body down, have meetings, and then come back into this reality. And other people have done this too. It's not just me. So yeah, it's this thing about leaving the body behind is really important, because it's like these, you know, I talked about these levels, paradigms of awareness. Well, you have these beings that have the ability to create synthetic light constructs, and even people are doing this on the planet. They create the Merkaba, they use a Merkaba template, and they create a light body using that Merkaba template. Then they step into that light body and they travel. But we've already got our own light body within us. So why are they doing that? These are the questions to ask. And so what happens is the moment, because remember I said I've done a lot in this universe, right? So I remember being a Dark Lord and manifesting synthetic light constructs. I remember doing that. So the moment you create a light body via the use of mathematical templates and constructs, you are creating a synthetic light body. And I don't care how anyone wants to dolly it up and glorify it and dress it up and present it. You are creating a synthetic light body. So that's my warning to people, and take it from someone who knows about this stuff. Now, all right. So if people are doing this all over the planet now, imagine beings having done this a really long time ago, and they are able to expand these light bodies and make them really big to the point where they bring other beings inside of these light bodies, and they're all experiencing this light construct. And then they bring more in and more in, and the thing grows and grows and grows and grows, and grows to the point where they create paradigms of awareness, paradigms of realities, and then they just continues to grow and grow and grow to the point where you now indoctrinate whole races of beings inside these light constructs, these synthetic light constructs. And so that's what's happened inside this lower domains of the universe. You have bubbles of awareness, paradigms of awareness that have been created. They are so massive over eons and epochs of evolution in this universe. And they are of a synthetic light construct. You have beings at the top of these things that originally created them. They play God, the creator of that paradigm. They have their own spiritual hierarchies, you know, angelics, if you want to call them that, ascended masters, because they do. They have these beings. I mean, we're experiencing them here on this planet today. They're in contact with people from these paradigms today on this planet. They are also involved in a lot of the dogmatic religious structures throughout the ages on our planetary system here in our societies. So these things exist, and they have the ability to come. And I've heard this from people. I got emails from people. People have walked up to me. One lady walked up to me in Glastonbury and said, I had an experience. I have to tell you, I had an experience, because what you say matches my experience, where this Jesus appeared in my room and said, come with me. He took her out of her body, and he took her to his divine light. She said he made me kneel in front of him, kiss his hand, kiss him above the knee, and then return me. And she said the whole thing was weird. The whole thing did not feel right, and it just didn't sit well with her. And as soon as she heard me explain these paradigms of synthetic light constructs, she felt so relieved, because she's like, hang on, you know, this Jesus guy's going to be a good guy, but why did I not feel comfortable with what I just experienced with him? And this just explained everything for her. You know, people got to be not so naive and gullible to think that these beings who are really good shapeshifters, they can present themselves whatever image they want. They've become very powerful over eons of evolution of time in our universe, and they can come here and they can take you out of body, and they can take you to their divine light, you know, because you can call anything you like. And people, because they haven't experienced love and light on that level, because we've been deprived, they will think that they're with the Christ. Now, a religious person having that experience would have just bawled their eyes out, fallen to their knees, and thought they were with Jesus.
Wow.
And that's coming. They're coming to harvest the human herd, and they're going to do it on many levels. Not only people walking into ships, but you're going to have, you know, I say to, because I get a hard time from religious zealots. I do. You know, Cynthia and I were talking about that last night, because I've had some really awful emails from them, very aggressive. And we're like, Isn't it amazing how these people call themselves Christians, yet they're so angry, so aggressive?
Yeah.
What is it with these people? You know, they're not Christians because they don't understand what the word Christian means. So there's something else, because they're certainly not being Christian. You know, I'm voicing my opinion and they get so angry because really what it shows is they're defending a dogmatic mind control program. It's obvious by the way they behave. So, you know, these beings have imposed into the human psyche for thousands of years their dogmatic structures, whether it's Islam, whether it's Hindu, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Christian, whether it's even shamanic practices. They have not left a stone unturned on this planet. And there are elders of the indigenous tribes that I'm in contact with behind the scenes, and they are so sad to see what's happened to their peoples, because even a lot of shamanic practices, the elemental kingdoms, they have been overrun by a lot of negative entities and deceptive entities as well. So there's a lot going on every level of our life here, every aspect of our life. And I'm not saying that so people can feel disempowered. This is being created this way, so you're left with no other alternative but to go inside yourself and to stop giving your power away to something outside of you. That's the whole purpose, the whole design here of this reality.
Wow. Well, I guess I'll go on to my next question. So when we ascend, or when people ascend, do you gain insight and knowledge during your ascension?
Oh, even before. As it gets closer, you're just going to know. And when it happens, you'll be so different. I mean, look how far we've come. How much have you changed in the last 6 months?
Yeah.
You know, this is exponential. And the rate of our change is so great. And, there's a whole bunch of you there that I'm speaking to. And really, one of you will start to feel it before somebody else does. And the one who doesn't feel it, don't be jealous or judgmental of the one that does. You can't all walk the path all at the same time. We can't all walk all abreast in the woods all together. You know, we're meandering down our path of life. And there are some people that just end up walking down the path before others do. And that's all it is. And it's responsibility as well. So, you'll know. There'll be times when you're just going to know. And no one can tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to do. I say to people, don't even take my word for gospel. Please don't, because then you're giving your power away, and I'm not interested in that. I'm only interested in empowering people. This is just to provide triggers to help people remember who and what we truly are. So you will know exactly what to do, where to go, and how to go about it. You will know. It's inside of you. It's just that it's latent. It's just sitting there, and it's just waiting for the right time. And your timing will be your timing. It'll be what you designed prior to your incarnation for when that will happen. And it's happening in increments and in steps, but one day it's just going to be a major step. And there'll be no doubt left within you when this occurs.
Thank you. That's excellent.
Before we go to GMD, George, would you like a quick break before we continue?
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Go for it.
I don't need a long one. How about just 1 or 2 minutes?
Yeah, 1 minute, that's fine.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. You guys are asking really good questions, and I really, really appreciate that.
That's fine. We have an affiliation. Cliff High, the WebBot creator, is very big on making his own food, and one of his favorite, he's a vegan as well. Oh no, he doesn't eat meat. One of the things he likes cooking is pie. Do you like pie? And have you got a favorite pie?
Oh, have I got a favorite pie? Crikey. I make a really, really good spinach pie. A recipe handed down from my mum. So I'm quite proud of that one, I must say, yeah.
Fantastic. What we'll do now is go over to Gemdi.
Okay.
Hi, George.
Hi.
Planetary Ascension is December 21st, 2012 to March 21st, 2013. And at that time, we will enter a new realm. Some will ascend and some will not. Dimensions will open up and Christ consciousness will be coming through organic doorways. What else will be happening during that time? And will it be important to connect with the white light of unconditional love And is there anything we can do to prepare spiritually for the ascension?
Okay, well, I will say the Christ consciousness is already being accessed by many people. I know I'm accessing mine within, and there are many that are already doing that. So I feel that that's already begun. It's not just going to happen from the 21st December 2012. My understanding is that we'll already have gone through into the fifth dimension by 21st of December 2012, because that's when Mother Earth straightens up on her axis in one fluid motion rather than just little baby increments as we're seeing at the moment. And nothing will survive on the surface when that occurs, because at the end of that process, the Earth's crust implodes towards the center of the planet, because the higher aspect, which is in the heart of the Earth Mother, is the Chrysosphere. It's like that sun that we have out there. There's a female version of that's in the middle of this planet. And, for people to say that we have a molten iron core is just ludicrous. It's just not reality. These are just theories and assumptions based on the theory of magnetics, on just what science knows today and has known for some time. So no one's actually taken a sample from the core, they're just theories. So when she acted, and that's the Chrysospheres in the core of the Earth. So just like we need to absorb our lower egos, and we need to be fine center, so does she. So no one will exist on this level of reality in the Earth domain after that point in time. Nothing will. So it'll just be light. It'll be viewed as a body of light from these lower domains of the universe. It'll just be a star. And her light will be gentle. I mean, the moon has to be taken out of here before that occurs, because I've been dealing with the beings in the moon, and we know that that's their home. They can't live anywhere else, because you see, what people don't understand about traveling in space is that even when you go into a craft of a particular race, each race has its own unique vibration. They have their own reality. The reason beings who travel interstellar can only do that because they have the power to create their own reality wherever they go. And I don't just mean in a mechanical sense. I mean energetically speaking. Like when the Greys were coming into my bedroom, and I live in a house with sandstone walls 2 foot thick, the walls just shimmered and they just walked straight through them. And it was like a bubble coming towards me. And they would stand either side of me, and when I was entered into their reality, my body would just tremble, because this particular group of Greys, which were more the droid type Greys working for the reptilians, their reality is based on so much fear, and so my body would tremble from their fear. I wasn't scared. There were times I was, but there were times I wasn't, and my body was just trembling. I'm looking around going, like, I was normal emotionally, but my body was just uncontrollably shaking from their fear. So that's what happens. And I'm sorry, I diverted a little bit and I lost my way. Can you just give me the original question again, please?
Yeah.
I want to answer it.
No, that's no problem. Basically, I was wondering if there was anything we could do to prepare spiritually for the ascension, and if we need to connect with the white light of unconditional love.
Okay, the white light of unconditional love. Unconditional love is it's beyond the light spectrum as we know it. It's a state of being. It's kind of I don't like to attach a color to it, because you're attaching labels to it. Even the word unconditional love, it's just the concept that it's the closest label we can use to try and comprehend the concept of that state of being. It's the beingness. When I share my unconditional love with people, I do not see colors. I've never done that. I would use particular colors to achieve a particular purpose, specializing in, for a particular purpose. But when I'm going to be unconditionally loving, I just open my heart and share my love. And there's no other labels or colors or anything attached to that.
Isn't that a vibrational level?
It is a vibration, but I cannot see color attached to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, it's beyond the color spectrum as we know it.
Okay.
So for me, the white love and light energy is the positive white love and light energy. It's the white love and light on the positive side of the scales of the spectrum. Now, you know, that kind of love to people now would be like a child in a candy store, because we've been plunged into such a deep, dark, negative charge. When that other energy comes along, it'll seem like such a relief, such a blessing. And that's what we need. We need that injection of, you know, that's why there's so much of that energy around at the moment. We've got a lot of the white, positive love and light energy here now. I'm just saying to people that there's more to life than that as well. That's what I'm trying to remind people of. And there's, like I said, there's beings who come from that realm who feel that, you know, what they're doing is the right thing, but they're just on one side of duality, you know.
Yeah.
And if people feel that that's their path to go into that domain, then that's fine. That's all right with me. I'm not here to create followers. I'm just here to empower people so they can are better equipped to make choices for themselves on this level.
Okay, but it is also, is there anything we can do right now to prepare spiritually for the ascension?
Yeah. Oh, there is. And I've got a nice little technique where I say to people, if you're going to work with light, why don't you, like, if, you know, people say, oh, I meditate with Saint Germain, I bring his violet flame in, I do this. Well, what are you doing that for? You know, why don't you bring your violet flame out from inside of you? We've got the whole universe. You know, there's a lot going on here that people don't realize. And the more these beings want you to use their light, the more they get their tentacles into you, and the more it's dependency. It's these beings are not being true ascended masters because they're getting they want you to use their light to do the work for you. So that's not a real ascended master. That's one from a false paradigm. So the real ones would say bring your own inner light out, and anything you need you have within you. So I say to people, bring your own light out. Right? Bring your own light out. Meditate, bring your own light out. And I've got a really simple technique which really works. And it's just with your in-breath, and I'll do it right now. Just visualize you sucking out from within the middle of your chest, your light. Just suck it out. And as your chest expands, just visualize your light expanding, you know, up to, you know, however you want to see it. For me, I'm seeing it like 2 or 3 inches above, you know, all around my chest and out the back, my back as well. It's a 360-degree thing. It's a spherical thing, right?
Right.
Just bring it out. And then on the out breath, I just push or just allow that light just to flow into all parts of my body. And you can use that light for anything. And, you know, this comes down to worthiness issues. You know, is your light worthy? Is it good enough? Is it tainted? Is it corrupted? Is it, you know, all this worthiness stuff?
What do we deserve? Right.
Yeah. So you just got to get beyond that and understand that you are a humane being. You're a godly being. And you do have the right. You are sovereign. You are one with life, and you have the Christ within. You have everything inside of you at your disposal.
That's beautiful.
It's just waiting. It's just sitting there waiting. And just be. Beautiful. You know that old saying, just be. That's the most simplified version of it. Just be. And, you know, you just got to be proud. This is proud without the pride. Be proud to be who you are. Shine your light. Express your being. Sing your song, you know, and emit your light. Shine like the star you truly are. And don't be afraid of who you are. This is all about self-empowerment.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, George.
You're welcome.
George, I remember a quote you said, I am not perfect, but I'm perfect the way I am. So that was good as well.
Oh,
Let me just, beautiful. George, your theories on the 2013 or Ascension interest me. It seems alternative history via Graham Hancock, Michael Cremo, and the Atlantis myth seem to show previous advanced civilizations existed thousands of years ago, and they too were destroyed by cataclysmic earth changes. Could it be possible that this period of time we are approaching is not that unique, and that Sophia periodically gets a chance to ascend at the end of these ages or cycles? Since we are still here, what makes you believe that this time around Sophia will ascend? And where will all those that are left behind stay if Sophia ascends?
Oh, geez, a good, really good question. We addressed the last one already in numerous questions, but I will cover that again just quickly. The people, when Mother Earth goes through changes this time, on this level of reality, people need to just get off the planet. The irony of people going into underground bases, that's just... I won't get into that now because that's a big one. Ask me straight after because I do want to address it. Excuse me. I do wish to address that. It's a very important subject for the ruling elite. They really need to be told a very big message. So, okay. So if you look at the history, we've actually been on the path of descent. We've been devolving for a very, very long time. The ending of each cycle was the beginning of the descent into the next cycle. And if you look just as the most recent one with Atlantis, it started off really good, had a bit of an overlap with Lemuria for a little while. And then once Lemuria left and went out of the picture, Atlantis started falling away. And because Atlantis was the last of the fourth dimension, the 4D ways of life on this planet in the public arena as we know it, it descended. And once the pyramids were anchored into the Giza Plateau around 12,500 years ago, it was pretty much around 12,400 years ago. Then really that's when things fell away real fast because that resulted in the anchoring of the archetype of the hunter, which is the male warrior energy. And that people just went crazy after that. The lust and the thirst for power and control was incredible. And Atlantis descended really quickly compared to what it once was before. And, people have all these romantic notions about Atlantis. And sure, but maybe the experiences they had were earlier on in its cycles and not towards the end because it just really fell into a really awful state of being. And a lot of destruction ensued because of the practices of technologies. So that's what happened. And why is it different this time? Because if you connect with the group soul consciousness of the human collective group soul, and if you talk to Mother Earth, and if you talk to Father Sun, and if you connect with the all the rest of life, which is beyond the earthly veil and beyond the cosmic veil of the intergalactic cabal, and then you get to the rest of life. And then if you talk to the elemental kingdoms and the spiritual hierarchies and the aquatic races, and then you take all of that into consideration, then you will quickly come to realize that Mother Earth is about to ascend into a body of light this time, and it was part of a much greater plan, was to descend. And I go into this extensively in my seminars. I really explain this path of devolution, this road to compression. I even explain why this galaxy was manifested, and that each star system is a fractal of a galaxy, and this road to compression. And we found ourselves here in this solar system on this planet, and all the cycles we've had here on this planet. And it's at the very end of a very long process about reintegrating everything, all our separated and fragmented aspects, and bringing about balance and harmony within our souls so that we can graduate and ascend and leave these lower domains of the universe and become what we originally intended to become when we first entered the universe. And that's why it's the feminine aspect of the Creator who's facilitating this firsthand, and the masculine aspect of the Creator who have stepped down their energies to a galactic consciousness, to star system consciousnesses, and to planetary consciousness.
Yeah, the reason why I ask, particularly where will those that are left behind stay, is because obviously other researchers like Dolores Cannon believes there'll be two worlds, two Earths. So that's why I was wondering, where would people left behind stay if Sophia ascends?
Yeah, good question, because a lot of people talk about parallel universes as well. It's not just going to be like a split like that. that's a big subject, because I have talked about the timelines. This is the one we are on, and I'm not just being biased. This is the original intended organic timeline. All the others are like, you've got the main trunk of a tree, and the others are all, they're kind of more holographic in nature. They don't have the substance that this one does. And you'll notice that a whole bunch of ETs have come back to this one. So I'll get into that in a moment. So that's where a lot of people will go. Some will go off trajectories into other timelines. Some will, the attempt to go into underground bases, that is one of the biggest deceptions ever. That's middle management who are now surplus to requirements. There's a lot of people who are being lured into underground bases because they are no longer wanted. They are being seen more as a pain in the hoo-hoo, and they need to be disposed of. So, or there are some who are going to be lured into underground bases, and they'll be left with only one option, and that's to go through a Stargate or a wormhole opening through technology. So that's an entrapment. So yeah, because eventually the Earth's crust implodes. So this time around, because there are some members of the ruling elite who also think what's going to happen is like what happened before. It's going to be no different. So it'll just be the Earth having a pole shift, a bit of flooding, everything on the surface gets destroyed and wiped out, and then people will come out from their underground bases and start all over again. Not this time. Sure, that's happened in the past, but this time it's different. And I urge people to look at the bigger picture of things and not just say 2, 3, 4 cycles back, but understand why we are here, the relationship between the human race and the planet, the ecosystem, why we're in the solar system, look at the history of the solar system, look at the journey that our consciousness has taken throughout the universe, and then you begin to understand what's actually really going on here. So that's where I'm coming from that perspective. Yeah, and so other people will go on ships. Quite a few will be harvested through ships. Some are going back to their galactic families, like, their real family are coming back, because who and what we are is very important, and the codes that we hold in our bodies. I can't go into that here. That's a really big subject, and that'll take an hour just to explain that, and because of who and what we are and the way we interact with the energy streams coming in and energy streams going out, because we're teaching not only our own race, but we've got many contracts with many other races. We are ambassadors and of many races, not just our own, and this journey is not just about us, and there's a lot to that subject. So some people are getting picked up by the galactic families, and when their galactic family turns up, they know instantly who it is. There is no doubt. There's no, I'm your long-lost brother from this star. No one carries on like that. The moment they turn up, your heart knows who they are. End of story. Within a microsecond, instantaneous. So I warn people, for those who come and tell you that they're your brother or your sister or your galactic family, it doesn't work that way. So I warn people about that deception as well. So, and then the ones who will be saved by their religious deities, where angels and ascended masters will come and sent from God to take their astral body, which they won't realise it's actually the astral body being taken out, and the astral essence, and get taken to their paradigms of synthetic light constructs. So that's pretty much how it's going to pan out.
Will the Earth ascend on its own, or does it require mass consciousness awakening of enlightened humans for Sophia to ascend, as some people think? So does Sophia need humans to reach a certain level of enlightened consciousness for it to ascend?
Oh, no, she doesn't. She's a big girl. I mean, look, you get in contact with her Lady Gaia personality, and it's like a lower ego. She's in pain, and she's really working hard to hold it together for everybody. But when you go into the Christ Sophia, it's like, I'm a big girl. I've got it all under control. Everything's good. It lightens her load. It's like when you're doing a job. You've got a job to do, right? If someone comes along and gives you a helping hand, it lightens the load, doesn't it? It makes the process more pleasant. Even if someone comes up and just appreciates the work that you're doing, that energetic charge just really lightens the load for you and makes the job a whole lot better. So even though she's from unconditional love, so she doesn't have any attachments, but really it does help. Every little bit helps. So it starts with gratitude. And if you do have this appreciation towards Mother Earth and her sacrifice. That's the biggest, that starts there. And then you work it out for yourself what you need to do from there. I can't tell people what to do beyond that.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
George, you mentioned in a Veritas interview that all people can and will ascend, even those that have had negative life can still ascend because that was the set of circumstances that required them to balance themselves, similar to a negative charge to reattain balance. You gave the example of Mary Lou, mother of 3, who didn't have the time to meditate, but she could still ascend. This seems a little contradictory to the early Eastern philosophies that, in a nutshell, say that ascension or being part of the one consciousness needs hard work and perseverance. I agree that universe puts things in our life for growth, but this seems to absolve people from personal responsibility, similar to a priest absolving the sins of a killer at his deathbed so he can still go to heaven. How does self-choice and self-responsibility fit into the people ascending, considering you mentioned that I think 1/3 of the people would ascend, and the current level of apathy and ignorance of people generally living today?
Wow, there's a lot of questions there. Okay, well, first of all, the ancient Eastern philosophies were for ancient Eastern times, okay? And so the attempt for people to ascend back then was how they wanted to go about it. So to do that today is the old program, and if someone wishes to do that, they're welcome to it. It's kind of like the Kundalini going up the spine. Intersecting through the chakra points, activating the pineal gland and using that version of enlightenment. Sure, if people want to do that, they're welcome to it, but been there, done that, that's 4D cosmic mind enlightenment. The pineal gland is in the mind, it's in the head, it's in the brain. What I'm talking about is going into the heart. So this is beyond the 4D cosmic mind concepts of enlightenment. When it comes to people being... let's say it'll seem unfair to people who have had good lives. Well, this is taking the universal journey into consideration. So like I keep saying to people, just because you're good in this lifetime doesn't mean you're an a-hole the lifetime before. And the person who was really good in the lifetime before is an a-hole in this lifetime. Pardon my expressions, but, it was appropriate. So, it really, people got to get off the judgment, get off the soapbox. And I'm not just targeting this person who's asked a question. This is, you've got to understand the amount of judgment I get from many, many people because, they're caught up in their philosophies and a lot of them are really good. They have a lot of good practices in them, don't get me wrong. But they do tend to create a perception of judgment that if you don't do this, if you don't meditate like that, if you're not like this, and then you're not going to get there. So, it doesn't work that way. The real creator does not judge. The real creator looks things from much, much grander perspective, and really it's the whole journey needs to be taken into consideration, and it's the scales of balance. This is what light is all about. You've got the centered state, then you've got one expression of life on one side of that centered state, and you've got another expression on the other side of that centered state, the waveform. So two expressions, and we've explored different charges in different archetypal constructs, and it's about reattaining balance in these archetypal constructs, all of them. So whatever somebody needs in this lifetime to reattain balance, that's what they need. And if you're in a prison or an army or a hospital or Alzheimer's, it doesn't matter. Your inner light and consciousness will come through, and the ones who have got a very heavy negative charge, they're going to hurt when it comes to rebalancing at the end. The further they've plunged into that charge, the more extreme the charge, it's going to be quite intense for them to get back. So they're not going to do it easy, but they'll do it very intense over a short period of time. And there are people who are very positively charged, and they're out of balance too, because the scales have got too much on the positive side of things. They're not very centered at all. So they're going to find it very difficult, very painful too, to let go a lot of their belief systems and their self-righteousness, because a lot of these beings are really quite self-righteous about their approach to life, the ones that are in the extreme positive charge. So this is about being centered, and this is about being perfectly balanced. And it's looking at it from a much bigger picture. So a lot of the philosophies from ancient times were appropriate for the ancient times. And, those versions of enlightenment and all that were good for back then. But, like I said, we've been there and have done that. We did it back then. And for those of us who did it back then, it's not appropriate for us to do it now. But there may be some people who are exploring these things for the first time in the human journey, and that's good for them. It's just no longer appropriate for me.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, George. Next question is from Green Meadow.
Hi, George.
Hi.
This question's actually from forum member Space. You've answered part of it, that 2 billion will ascend, 500 million will go off-world, and the remainder will perish. He's asking, who are the remainder? Is it the head honchos of the New World Order? And can their souls ever reincarnate again?
Yeah, well, the people that die, look, there's also when it comes to death, there's not just one location. Not everybody goes to one place and gets judged and all that crap. There are those who experience that because they're caught up in the false light constructs of their false gods who keep them recycling them and have them make sure that they don't believe in anything called reincarnation and impose those sort of ideologies so they can keep recycling them and feeding off them. It's a very, very clever plan. And so some people experience that, but there's not one location. I mean, people come from very far reaches of the cosmos on many different levels of reality to incarnate on Earth. There's a lot of life here coming from many different levels. So when someone passes over, some will go to the fifth, some are on their way down. So they might have come from an upper reaches of the fourth, had their experiences here, and now going back to the lower reaches of the fourth, or even down into the third, somewhere else. So yeah, it's individual journeys, and people keep making the mistake of painting everybody with one brush, and that's not the case. There's so many things going on. If you can think of it a bit like a central station, you know, people come here and then they've got all different destinations. So some people will come here and go back to exactly where they came from, and others don't. So it's not one rule fits all. So I just want to make that point clear. The other one is, some who go into underground bases will perish. Some will escape through stargates. There are underground bases being created, and they don't have stargates, and they're being led to their demise. So that's the message I have for the ruling elite and the shadow government and all the people who think they're way above everybody else, that you're really just pawns in a game, and you're much lower down the ranks than you have been led to believe throughout your life. And I know your egos will struggle with what I'm saying to you, but if there's any ounce of substance within you, you'll understand that what I'm saying is real, is true, because your realities are so compartmentalized. And like I've said in previous interviews, come and see me and I will tell you what's really going on, because you guys are being played like pawns, and you're being led to your demise.
Yeah, Cliff actually said something like that as well. The next question is about the mechanics of ascension. Some people say we go to sleep for 3 days and 3 nights and wake up and find we're on a new Earth. Is that in line with what you expect? And how does this tie in with the Mother Earth turning into a star? Will those of us that ascend end up living on a star?
Yeah, we did cover that before, because we will be with Mother Earth, we ascend with her, and when she becomes a star, we become universal consciousness with her. So we'll be on her body. I had that experience because the future's already happened, so I got a glimpse of that. And the weird thing about it is there's no shadows anywhere, even underneath things. There's just light everywhere. It's weird. And it's not a blinding light. It's just light emanating from within everything. There's no sun in the sky, and everything lives off light, and there's no energetic centers in anything. Everything's just pure expression. The ecosystem, the whole lot. It's just amazing. And so sorry, what was the other part of that question?
Do we go to sleep for 3 days and nights and just wake up on a new Earth?
Yeah, the reason I asked that is because, you know, when you connect with yourself and you express, if I say a piece of knowledge, I am that information. You become the knowledge that you express. So I go into, you know, all of a sudden I'm in ascended mode, and then I go into this mode or that mode. So I'll keep my energies fluctuating all the time. So that's why sometimes I go into a mode and my ego doesn't quite keep up with the way I'm changing. So I forget. So I have to ask the question again. So, it's about being our expression. So, crikey. So I forgot it again. Can you say it again one more time?
What's the mechanics of ascension? Do we go to sleep for 3 days and 3 nights?
All right. Now, the 3 days and 3 nights thing. I don't resonate with that. I've got to be honest. I just don't. I feel that if people are going to go for sleep in 3 days and 3 nights and find themselves in another world, wow, I'd say that that's a real big candidate for being put to sleep by ETs, getting taken in a ship and get planted on another planet. That's perfect candidate for that. And I'm not making that up. That is really, that kind of material is perfect. It's like the Galactic Federation of Light. There are some of their ambassadors here on the planet promoting one of their versions of Ascension being the Ascension chambers. That they'll be taken into these Ascension chambers. They'll step inside them, and when they come out, they'll be fully conscious beings. Well, hang on a minute. I don't want to step inside a chamber, a piece of technology, have somebody controlling that technology, and therefore control the level I ascend to. No thanks. If people want to do that, go right ahead. But that to me is not Ascension. That is somebody controlling your ascension. Yeah, so the 3 days and nights thing, that sounds to me, that smells of that sort of thing. It's, yeah, for me, people are going to be fully alert through their ascension. They will know from deep in their heart. They'll reconnect with everything, the conscious of the planet, the conscious of the universe. They will know their own eternal essence, and it'll be organic, and they will know fully consciously aware everything that's happening every moment of the process. So that's how I understand it.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. This is Gemini, and we have about 4 questions left. And the first question is from forum member Free Spirit.
Sure.
In a recent interview, you stated that we should disregard your previous teachings and proclamation that you were an agent of the Galactic Federation of Light, and since then you realized you were under mind control. How are you able to determine that you were under mind control, and how is it that you were able to determine that you were no longer under mind control?
Yeah, really good question, and that's what I say to people. You know, I say, please don't take my word for the things that I say. Please feel into your own hearts and find out for yourselves, because, you know, this isn't about misleading people or, making followers or anything like that. This is about self-empowerment. So I say to people, I'm a realist, right? Let's keep it real. Let's entertain different possibilities here. Either I'm totally deluded, like really deluded, because I truly believe in what I'm saying, right? So right. I will totally entertain that idea. And mind you, I've had a lot of I had 3 emails from psychologists and psychiatrists say to me that we work with deluded people all the time, and we want you to know that these people of accusing you of being deluded are wrong, because all the attributes you prove to us that you are not deluded. But anyway, you know, that's just 3 little opinions, and but I will always keep that option open because, I'm a realist. So what else? Am I under mind control? I could be. Propagating and exercising a mind control program. I could be. I will entertain that idea. I have been mind controlled before. The reality is everybody listening is mind controlled. So, you're all mind controlled. That's fact. That's reality. You don't know everything that's going on. You don't know your full history of who and what you are, who and what the human race is. You are in a mind control matrix program. So, so I'm just putting that out there for he or she who has not sinned, please cast the first stone, or the pot calling the kettle black. So that's where I'm coming from with that statement. And second of all, the degree of mind control that I've experienced, has been excessive compared to most people. So when I realized this is because what I was feeling in my heart didn't align with what was going on in my head. And the more I go into my heart, the more I feel this knowledge that I share. It just feels right. It just sits and it fits with all the experiences that I had, my connections with Mother Earth, my connections with Father Son, my experiences of going into different ships, interacting with different races, of having been taken down into underground bases, the shadow government, having been tortured by both the shadow government and extraterrestrial races. Why would they have done that? And a pattern emerged in my life over many years. And it's quite obvious what they were trying to do is because they knew I was going to be doing this in the future, getting up and having a say in a big way, and they wanted to control what I said. And so that becomes quite obvious. And even that reptilian shape-shifting video that's out about me, and like anyone with half a brain or half an ounce of substance can actually see that it was a heavily pixelated video, and all they did was slip into those pixelations the images they wanted people to see. Now, you don't have to be a professor to work that one out. If you just stop the video and have a look, it's obviously there's big square blocks there of an overlaid image. But, you know, people who are caught up in that conspiratorial drama can make their own minds up, because obviously they're not making it up from their hearts. They're just seeing it from the conspiratorial drama that they've been, the drama vortex they've been sucked into. So, I could have taken that down. I want you to know that. But I didn't. I left it there because it's really exposing people, and it's serving a really good purpose for them, because, you know, to be or not to be, tis nobler to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. So I'd rather just be and suffer a bit of persecution and ridicule, because what I'm doing is providing a wonderful service for these people. So I don't mind copping a bit of flack if it helps a lot of people. So that's why that's still up there. And we laughed about it before we even put it out there, the pixelation. Somebody's going to use this, and they did. So we've got the raw footage, and it's, you know, those images are not on the raw footage. So there's a heavy pixelation, but those images are not there. So really, it's yeah. Again, I'm sorry, I diverted. Can you please go back to the original question?
I was just asking from forum member Free Spirit about, originally you thought you were part of the Galactic Federation under mind control.
Yeah.
How is it that you knew that you were under mind control, and how is it that you know now that you aren't necessarily under mind control?
Yeah, and that's how I know, because, you know, when you go into your heart, there's a resonance there. And when you have a resonance that doesn't match with what your thoughts are and what your feelings that are resulting from those thoughts, and those emotions that result from those thoughts, then you realize that there's another program at play. And when I say to people that most of our thoughts are not ours, that's a fact. Most of your thoughts, everyone listening to this, most of your thoughts you're having not even yours. But are you strong enough to actually become aware of that and realize that, and have the capacity to live with it, and then start working out which thoughts are yours, which feelings are actually yours, or which are artificially induced emotions and feelings, and which ones are genuinely yours from your heart, from your own authentic essence. So that's what it's all about. So yeah, that's how I know.
Thank you, George. I appreciate your perspective.
George, you mentioned to Mel that 1/3 will be bypassing straight into the 5th dimension, and that the Kundalini experience and the chakras, which are constructs of the 4th dimension, and that would not be needed. Do you think people will need to have mastered themselves in this 4th dimension first, whether this life or a previous life, before they can bypass directly into the 5th dimension during the Ascension?
No. We are the masters. We already are masters. We're just finishing up. So we've the ones who already know they're ascending, you just know you've mastered it. And that's not ego. That's just living in a multidimensional state. So we know we're about to ascend, therefore we know we've mastered it. And we're just still carrying out our life of servitude or responsibilities, or what experiences we need for ourselves, and also role-playing for other people. So we've got to continue to live our experiences out, because it's not just about us. It's when we have those interactions and experiences, we're actually role-playing for other people, and we're helping to teach them as well. So it's many things on many levels. So no, it's automatic. This ascension process, the beauty of it, the genius of it is our light is now activating from within. It's the mustard seed that was planted. It's that Christ consciousness. It's the star seed, you know, that was planted so long ago that we have deep within us, and it's the lotus flower that is now opening. It is happening automatically beyond any egoic concept whatsoever. It's coming from deep within us, and it's happening. It's the part of us that's just unfolding, it is just part of the unfoldment and flowing one with the unfoldment of creation in an organic way. So there's no forcing. You don't have to go to meditation classes or spiritual groups to make it happen. For some people, that's the path they chose to provide the triggers until they get to the understanding where they can just let go and just allow things to unfold and be. Because if you're still meditating and trying to make it happen, you still haven't got to the point where your ego's surrendered. You're still trying to force. You're still trying to make it happen. The idea is to let go and allow your being to come through and allow things to happen. It's a different state. It's a different way of going about it. And so that's my answer to that question.
Thank you. The next question is from Lua.
Okay, thank you. George, this is a question from forum member Human. He has read that 70% of people have now ascended to the fourth dimension, and that this is the reason why the Earth changes have not been more devastating, for the rise in human consciousness has changed our timeline to a more favorable path. Can you confirm this?
We'll see that viewing, it's more favourable and we've avoided this, that and that. All these perspectives are from within the drama bubble. And, you know, from a point of perspective, it is true. It's kind of like, well, I don't know about 70% of all people, because let me put it this way. If you go to the doctor and you have a pill, that's being mechanical 3D, okay? If you go to a healer and you get a healing, that's 4D. If you meditate, that's 4D. And if you're being unconditionally loving, that's 5D and above. So we're kind of like walking between dimensions. Any time during a day, I'm being 3D, 4D, 5D and above. So we're living a multi-dimensional existence at the moment. So to make that kind of like specific, you can say, generally speaking, there are large numbers of people in today's world that are overall, they're being more 4D than before. They're being more 4D than they are 3D. And there's more people being 5D all the time. There's more of me. I'm being more 5D each day. Today I'm more 5D than I was yesterday. Occasionally you take a few steps back and you might have to go and hang out with some friends who are really just in the matrix and 3D, so you've got to lower your energy and go so you can relate to them, you know. If they want to talk about football, you try and have a conversation about football or fashion or politics or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's about being able to adjust yourself and adapt to the different frequency spectrums and not think yourself as a single entity that you're now 3D. Oh, now I'm 4D. And so I'm going really, really good and I'm 4D and I'm just 4D and I've got to strive to make it to 5D. No, that's not how it is in reality. The reality is you're expressing 3D aspects of yourself, 4D aspects of yourself, and even 5D and above. And the more you can do that, then you begin to merge more with your higher self, and you're bringing more of yourself into this reality, which simultaneously is rising your vibration. So things happen both ways. Not only are you raising your vibration, but you're also being pulled up. And at the same time, you're bringing more of yourself in. So all these things are happening symbiotically.
Okay, thank you, George. This next question from forum member Space almost looks like it could take up a whole other interview, but we'll try to squeeze it into one time, okay?
Yeah.
He asks, what is the hierarchy of the dimensions? How many councils are there, and what is their purpose? And are the councils in the physical or the ethereal realm? Do you want the first one? What is the hierarchy of the dimensions?
Yeah. The hierarchy of the dimensions. Well, I do explain it in my model of the universe that I present, and it seems to be a model that the overwhelming majority of life uses in the universe. The fifth dimension that I talk about is really high in vibration. Like I said, it's way beyond these beings who pose as light and ascended masters in angelic realms, and you know, because there are, if you want to call angels, it depends on your definition of what an angel is. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite a generic term, angel. So because there are angelical hierarchies that exist in false light paradigms, synthetic light constructs. So you've got to be careful with these generic terms. So there's no technology in the fifth dimension I speak of. No such thing as technology. Everything's just organic consciousness. So there's no steel, there's no electricity, there's nothing like that up there. So in that level of being. So Yeah, again, it'll depend on people's concept, because there's ETs turning up saying they're from the 8th dimension, you know, and they're flying in a spaceship. So hello. Yeah. Just because they say they're from the 5th doesn't mean they might be from the 5th in their model, but they're definitely not from the 5th in my model. So, yeah. And so there's all sorts of councils, and oh my goodness, like how many councils are in my state alone? In every area's got a council. So just to use that as an analogy, please understand how many different every race has its own high council and spiritual councils, and yeah, there's so many councils going on out there. Now I think the question is referring to, is there a council of beings that are more the managerial type of realities? Yes, a lot of us belong to these councils. In various different galactic realities, because we've all got our own galaxies. We're all planets, stars, and galaxies, by the way. I don't know if I got to that bit. We've already co-created all along the way in this journey in this universe. And so, you know, a lot of us belong to these sort of councils, but this galaxy, I'm part of the management team of this galaxy. And that's why I'm here to do what I do. I'm just taking my responsibility and living that out. So it's, there's a lot of beings who are incarnate here on this planet who are part of that managerial role. And we've invested a lot of ourselves into manifesting this reality and setting it up and providing an experience for humanity to have this incredible journey. So people are just being turned against this reality and against us, I suppose, because these other entities are so jealous of who and what we are and what we've manifested here and what we're achieving here. So there's a clever game that's being played as well. So there's a lot going on. There's a big drama going on in the cosmos. So yeah, I would say there's the main group or council of beings who are 12. There's 12 of them. There's also imposter groups who have tried stealing their identity. So it gets confusing on one level, but it's fractals. So we've got 12 strands of DNA. We have 12 planets, main planets in our solar system, and we have the 12 archetypal personalities of the Creator, and that's who these beings are. And that's my understanding of it. So there is a council of 12. That's why you had the 12 apostles. You had Jesus with his 12. You had Mary with her 12, which does not get talked about. Her 12 high priestesses who did the baptizing, by the way, because it's the female that grants access to the power of the true light and consciousness in this reality. She's the one that has she's the gatekeeper and has the final say, which conveniently gets left out, by the way, of just about every religion. So, yeah, well, that's reality. Try telling a Christian that, my goodness, they go, they go crazy when you say that the woman grants access to the power here. Yeah, so that's pretty much it as far as councils go.
Okay. Thank you very much.
There are many. There really are many. Yeah, it'll depend what the person's individual journey is and what affiliations they have with which councils.
Thank you, Lua.
Oh, sorry about that. I just felt more information I need to share about that. You've also got the councils in the dark side of thing that manage things, like I talked about the Council of Seven. So when I knelt before the 6 Lords of Darkness, I was the 7th member and closed the circle. So that's when you know you're in front of the real 6 Lords of Darkness. And one way of knowing. And another one is you've got Lords of Light. So you've got the Great White Brotherhood and Lords of Light and all that sort of business. So they're the ones who are on the positive side of the scales, white, love and light. So, yeah, that's the way that goes as well. So, yeah, there are many councils, but you've got your main groupings, I suppose.
Thank you, George. We've just spoken with George Kavassilas. He's from georgekavassilas.org and our-journey-home.com. Thank you for your time tonight, George. Hope you enjoyed it as we did. If not, bad luck, mate. There is an old Chinese proverb. There is an old Chinese proverb that says, better to light one small candle than to curse the darkness. Many people concentrate on the negative and misfortunes in life, but that goes nowhere. Better to shine a light on the darkness, and thank you for being one of many candles to help seekers find their way to the truth. On behalf of Fox and all the members of the WebBot Forum, we thank you, sir. In our tradition, may you and your family have many pies to come.
Thank you very much. And I really just want to express my love and gratitude for having this opportunity. And I thoroughly enjoyed every single one of you in our exchange, and everyone listening. I do wish my whole human family all the love and the best for their journey.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, thanks. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, guys. Love you all. Thank you.